I don't know, maybe people have to pay for lists. There's a lot of ways I think Tim can fundraise. Because like it really seems like you got this guy good. Can you imagine?
No. I didn't. All I did was shake somebody's hand.
Can
Don't
you
blame
imagine
me for the
being from
horrible
out?
outcome. Don't blame me for this.
Mayo experience.
Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Experience. Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience presented by Underdog. If you do not have an Underdog account as of yet, good news. Use code MAYO right now, and you first-time sign-uppers will get a $1,000 bonus, up to at least, with your deposit. Additionally, there's a Kirk Cousins free square on Thursday available to anyone who uses code MAYO to sign up right now. So if you haven't done it, I suggest you go do it right now. Code MAYO at Underdog. The Week 5 spread picks, game previews, free money, and a Cust Corner mini. We are back in studio after our week away in Montreal covering the President's Cup. Geoff, I'm still very, very tired.
Yep. I'm still looking for a long enough nap. Haven't found it yet, Pat.
You don't look as wet as you did on many of the shows.
Nope. I'm playing home games now, Pat. Playing home games. So we're just we're finding our equilibrium again.
Yeah, it sounds like we need to find our energy real soon on this one. And the one thing that Paul pointed out to me as we were going through the shows, as we were doing them there, is that you must spend an awful lot of time combing your hair every single day.
No, I don't actually. But it just naturally does its thing.
There you
I
go.
don't.
All right, well, the coin is fresh because the coin did not come to Montreal with us, but do you know who did?
Yeah, looks good.
It does look good. Yeah, the coin is well rested. You know who did come to Montreal with us for the week and shot some shows? It is who I think was dubbed, maybe I have it wrong, the Michael Jordan of strip clubs, Tim Endicust.
Tim Endicust.
That is not my name, and that sobriquet was not attached to me.
Oh, that wasn't you. Who was that then?
No, I believe it was someone else on that trip.
Oh.
I haven't left my apartment since we have gotten back from the show from Montreal, and I am just so happy to be here.
You're so happy to be at home, you mean?
Just happy to be at home. Like I've been home for like 24 consecutive hours. I haven't left this place, and I'm just delighted.
How many steps?
Not that many, but I've had several showers with fresh towels.
Yeah.
All my laundry is done. Feeling great.
Well, one thing that went great for us overall as a group was our picks last week. After a all-time record low in week number 3, we actually rebounded quite well. Cust and the Coin win the week with 11-5 records. I was 9-7, Geoff was 7-9, and we're all right around the same within a game of each other. The Coin 5 games out ahead of us at 32-28 for the year. I won my super lock with Tampa Bay to move to 3-1. Geoff won his with Detroit. He's 1-2, and Tim lost his with Pittsburgh. That is 1-3 for the season. The free money line parlay had 2 losers on it, so that was a loss. 0-4 for the year.
I went 11-5. I went 11-5, and I didn't get my super lock or the free money line parlay.
Well, some of the teams that you picked against.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying it's annoying. You have a phenomenal week, and it doesn't show up in the other places.
And Geoff is the only one remaining in Survivor, and he moved on with San Francisco. Congratulations, Geoff.
Yay.
Thank you.
Look at you, killing it. Oh, no, Tim might actually. Tim, are you still in? You're still in, aren't you?
Who did I pick?
I forget.
Tim picked. I'm looking at it here because obviously I'm recounting the math.
Who did he pick?
Tim had KC, so he's in.
Oh, so you're still in. So Tim is still in with his second chance as well. There you go. And you've used Kansas City. Sorry, I totally forgot about the restart in terms of you get one loss each, and that's the way that it's going to have to go for the season. Watching football on Sunday was a little bit more difficult, Geoff, than it normally is.
Yeah, I bet. My eyes still hurt a little from that.
From standing right next to the television and burning your retinas?
Well, I can't see, that's just
Oh, you can see. You were the first one to notice, quote unquote, loose pig before anybody else watching the games.
Yeah, but just clock and score. I just got to I don't know. Just listen, you play road games, you got to man up to the surroundings.
Well, the Chargers don't have a road game. The Chargers are on bye week this time around. Did Jim Harbaugh apologize to you personally, Geoff, about not challenging the spot of the Josh Palmer catch yet?
Well, not only that, he called a timeout instead of challenging. Before he challenged, I'll give listen, like I'm quite upset about it. I will only say, in fairness to him, he's quite confused why League Assist didn't come up and step in, because they seem to have been able to come up and step in for people with spots all over the fucking league without making challenges go up. And that seemed like a lovely spot, especially with the timeout having been called, an extended time for League Assist to come in. But unlike other coaches who I've had in recent memory, he actually took responsibility for a mistake. So it's like, holy shit, that was so refreshing. Despite being pissed about the mistake, less pissed when he's like, yeah, I really fucked that up. Like, that is just on me. I assure you the other guy would have not done that. So yeah, still annoyed about that, but hey, get on the bye week, try to get some people healthy. Hopefully Herbert can play with 2 feet in the next game that they play, and onwards and upwards.
And safety and health, right? Wasn't that your mantra for Sunday?
Yeah, I just every play want guys to get up. That's all. And it seemed like everyone got up. And the one guy that left the game seemed to return to the game. So on that aspect, it was good, unless it seemed like the Chiefs had a couple injuries, but that never seems to stop them.
I guess watching both of the games, like watching with Geoff periodically and watching the Jets with Tim every single week when they're on a Sunday and we watch it here together, I gotta say it's 2 completely different viewing experiences for the both of you. Whereas Tim, I mean, you got to watch Geoff in full force here, his pacing around, and then he had to go outside and stream it on his phone to be alone for a while, and just the amount of anxiety he had after every play to make sure that no one was hurt or anything like that. Didn't even seem like he cared about winning or losing, just that no one got hurt at the end of every play, where he's just like a stress bag the entire time. I feel like you're the opposite when you watch the Jets. Yeah, when they start losing, you can get down, but you always expect the best from the Jets on every play.
Yes, I expect them to actually, as professionals, perform the way I'd like them to perform. And I like to think that I take a far more stoic approach to watching the games, which is perhaps why losses hit me much harder, because I have higher expectations and I expect greatness. And I don't tolerate poor performances. This week's performance was abysmal. It should have cost the coach his job.
You seem to quite have tolerated it quite well, because I came back from the golf with about maybe 5 minutes in your game, and it was quite disgusting what I witnessed.
I can put up, because I am very,
and I believe your
losing.
team is like, I kind of only blame coaching when you replay Jets games in your head. So
when you cheer for the Jets as long as I have, you learn to become a good loser. You get used to it. You know how to internalize it. So this is like 400th on the list of games that like hurt me in terms of losses. It's fine. It's annoying. I hate losing this way, but like, it's fine. We're okay. We're 2-2. Like just about everyone in the AFC is 2-2. I still like my chances against all the other teams vying for wild cards or division. And the only team that's in our division who's competitive got their doors blown off by the Ravens. So I'm not super worried. I'm annoyed. We just, we didn't hold serve, but we just continue. I like to just try. I internalize these things. They frustrate me, but I can overcome them. I know how to handle these disappointments.
Since you haven't left your home in 24 hours, and you say you're feeling really good about that, you've taken multiple showers for unknown reasons, despite the fact that you haven't moved anywhere. But was the highlight of your 24 hours since you've been home being on Dolphins Reddit on Monday night?
Yes, and this morning. It's been delightful. I wish it weren't so delightful. People basically requesting that Adam Gase come back. People just absolutely eviscerating Mike McDaniel. Teasing McDaniel, claiming this team is on fire, like a garbage fire. It's the worst team we've ever had. That brings me a lot of happiness. I wish it was because Tua was playing badly, not because he was injured. That's annoying, but and unfortunate. But the Dolphins doing poorly, I was getting like just sad face texts from my father last night out of context with no words and like it's like yeah, well let me know if I have to lose at least everyone in the AFC East lost this week, and like my loss was the third least embarrassing this week. So all things considered, I can live with that. If you tell me I'm going to have the third least embarrassing performance in my division most weeks, I would take that most weeks.
So do you think it's more embarrassing to get beat up on Sunday Night Football by a team that is a Super Bowl contender or lose at home on the early slate to a team that might not get to 5 wins?
Well, I think getting embarrassed like that on Sunday Night Football, I like really embarrassed by a team that only had 1 win so far this year, is worse. And secondly, we lost by a point in the early game in the rain against a team who maybe has a really, really good defense. Who their offense is severely challenged, but it seems like they can play at least pretty well on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, we lost. It's annoying, but I move on. I don't feel embarrassed about that. Like the Bills were humiliated on national TV, and the Dolphins. Oh my goodness, that was like watching the Jets of last year. The Dolphins are the Jets of last year.
You were the most embarrassing loss of the 3.
Oh, that more embarrassing than what happened last night.
No, I can make a case.
No,
you
can't.
A case.
No,
a fair and balanced one.
No, you can't make a fair and balanced one.
Yes, I can.
No, that's ridiculous. Ridiculous. Ridiculous.
One team is playing without their quarterback. The other team is playing one of the top teams in the league with a multiple-time MVP in a bad, what I called even before the game, seemed like a bad spot game. Off a huge Monday night win. Now they're going to someone else's barn on Sunday night. You lost as a touchdown favorite. And you lost Aaron Rodgers couldn't outduel Bo Nix in a battle of bad defenses when he's got better playmakers.
Oh, they can get in line. What are they like? The 12th? What are they? The 12th team this year who's a 7-point dog or more, favorite or more to lose outright? Like, this is happening all the time these days. So, like, there's nothing exceptional about losing when you're a big favorite. It happens all the time.
I'll tell you, of all the quarterbacks that played on this week in your division, it was the biggest indictment on yours.
It's raining and he got hit. And he was fine. He made some nice throws.
That's called football. It's raining. He got hit.
It wasn't perfect against a really good defense. We move on. It's okay.
But my single favorite thing, Geoff, about us doing the show live on Sunday night, where Tim claimed that Aaron Rodgers was a better runner than 75% of quarterbacks currently starting in the NFL, was the Aaron Rodgers press conference where he said his legs really hurt and he's not what he used to be.
Well, he's not what he used to be. He was like one of the 3 or 4 best runners in all of football. He's not that anymore.
Well, we did go through the list. If you want to hear who Tim thinks is Aaron Rodgers is a better runner than, a.k.a. Jalen Hurts, then yes, you should tune into the Sunday Night Live show with the 3 of us as we went through that. Let's get to the games.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
Sorry. And if I'm wrong, then maybe you can think of a penalty that I need to pay right now. But you said I went 7-9. I went 9-7. I'm going to duck now, but
I don't know. I don't even have the games in front of me. You said, does that mean I went 7-9 then? Did I write it down wrong?
I'm not sure what you did.
Well, if you're going to add yours, well, why don't you become the official scorer of this, Geoff?
Well, no, because I don't. I mean, I could. Do you want me to?
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to count them every week anyway, like I'm just going through like 2 seconds before the show and adding them up. So there's a lot of margin for error on this one. But if you're going to add yours, you got to add everyone's.
Well,
if I got 2 wrong on yours, and I had the opposite record of you, I may have just wrote down yours and mine and yours.
You
see how that works? Now you have to add the coins and Tim's too, because if I miscounted yours, then I may have miscounted theirs as well.
Okay, that's fair, but I am only
concerned about you.
No, well, like when the night ends on Sunday night, I count in my head. I look at it to see how I did. I don't. Then I just go from that. But
how about you hit me up after the show, and then I'll readjust it, and we'll reconfirm it for next week, okay? And then you can count them all coming into the show next week, and then you can send me the records.
Okay, that's fine.
That's
a thing.
We'll do that. That's no,
Okay.
no need to be sorry. I want accuracy, but obviously, me doing it, like I said, 30 seconds before the show is probably not the most ideal way to be the most accurate with this. If I'm writing stuff in the wrong spot, but yeah, I'll move you to 9 and 7. I'll move me to 7 and 9, and you can confirm those for next week. Tampa Bay and Atlanta is Thursday night football this week. The Falcons are favored by 1.5 against the Bucs, who've beaten some pretty good competition. And listen, they lost to the best defense of all time, the Denver Broncos. So you can't hold that up against them, Tim. Right?
Go right ahead. Denver's played really well the last 2 weeks, but this is not a conversation about Denver. It's about Atlanta and Tampa Bay.
Atlanta, who basically can't score points on offense.
Well, they've had some difficulties in 2 of their 4 games scoring points, there's no doubt. But have also played better defense than I think people gave them credit for. They held the Chiefs to, 22 or something like that. New Orleans, who had scored a bunch of points in the first couple of weeks, only scored to, 23. So it's a tough game. I lean to the Falcons here, though, at home on short rest. For no particular reason other than my priors told me to start the year, I thought Atlanta was the better team. And only laying 1.5 means that the books think Tampa's slightly better. I'm not sure I agree with that. So I'm going to trust Cousins and I'm going to trust the Falcons to sort of befuddle Tampa Bay. I don't think they're going to be able to score as many points as they have in the games that they've won, which are significant. When they beat Washington, when they beat Philadelphia, they scored points in bunches. And I don't think that is going to happen or can happen very easily against Atlanta. So expect a low, close game. 16-10 Falcons.
I'm going to go with the Bucs, Geoff. I may have been wrong that this would be their super regression year, that they're starting to look like a pretty dynamic team. Even their week 1 win against Washington now looks a lot better in hindsight than we thought about it at the time, although Washington's defense still kind of stinks. I'm with Tim that the Atlanta defense is playing a lot better than maybe we thought. Do you know who blitzes the most of any team in football?
Tampa?
Tampa, by a pretty heavy margin over Denver right now.
I would have guessed Minnesota, so that's interesting.
Minnesota
And Atlanta's still without those offensive linemen. They could be missing multiple players there this week. Still.
Yeah, and Kyle Pitts met up with Shang Tsung, and he sucked all the talent right out of him.
Yeah, he's truly just like a dime a dozen tight end.
He's not even that because he can't block. He's just like he's basically Kelvin Benjamin at this point, like later stage Kelvin. He's like a big fat receiver who's too slow to do anything. Like if he had utility, if George Kittle's not having a good game, although George Kittle mainly has good games, at least you can set him as the 6th offensive lineman. He can help you block. Kyle Pitts can't do that.
He seems to have lost a step. If he was really good earlier in his career, I could make an excuse that maybe he's injured. But since he never, other than an occasional play, showed us much, then you just got to assume he's just a slog at this point. But I don't know. I didn't draft him. I do like Atlanta, though, mainly just because they're at home. But I agree that Tampa, God damn it, they seem like they're quite a dynamic football team. Which I wasn't expecting them to be last year or this year. So full credit to them. I'm taking the Falcons at home on Thursday night. They'll stack together a couple crucial division wins as they tally them up at the end.
Where do you think these teams rank in DVOA, Tim, overall for the year? Because those have been released through 4 games now.
I assume Tampa's very high. I put Tampa probably 5th or 6th. Atlanta probably middle of the pack.
Tampa's 14, Atlanta's 15.
Okay, so they're both middle of the pack.
Yeah.
All right.
I do get the sense that Tampa's going to be very popular this week.
I just presume their win against Washington, which looks better and better every week, combined with beating Philadelphia and having beaten Detroit. Nobody probably comes to the table with a better resume right now than Tampa.
I would agree. And Atlanta just maybe comes down to kicking like it did last week, where Atlanta only needs to muster so much to get into field goal range, and boom, that's it. That's how they beat Philly. That's how they beat New Orleans last week, that if it's going to be a close game, maybe it's one of these ones where you like alt spread it, where if the Bucks win, you take them like -3 because they blow the doors off them. But if it's going to be a close game, Atlanta's going to win it. And this spread would suggest it's a close game, which, I could talk myself into Atlanta pretty easily here, but I just think that the Bucks are, at this point in time, I feel like the Bucks are still a little bit of a cut above, and I'm still riding off the Tampa Bay high last week of a big win that I had against Philadelphia, where I invested a lot of money. It was my biggest bet of the year, and I made it really early on in the week. And I think that this Atlanta team that they're going to be playing this week is superior to the Philadelphia team that we saw them run out in week 4. So it's going to be close. I'll take Tampa, and I'm the only one taking Tampa now because the coin is siding with you guys in Atlanta. Thanks for the contributions. Jets at Minnesota from London. Minnesota is a 2.5-point favorite in a Sam Darnold revenge game against the Jets. I could make the case that people would still bet Minnesota at -4 here, Tim.
Yeah, sure. Why not? Minnesota's undefeated. They're playing good football. Although they played pretty poorly in the second half against the Packers and nearly gave away a 28-point lead, but never mind. It's interesting. This is a very interesting and important game for both teams. Important for the Vikings because they're 4-0, and many people are still not putting them on the Chiefs level. I don't think many people would run out and say this is the best team in the NFC. They would say it's amongst the best team in the AFC. So the Vikings still sort of have a little bit to prove, and the Jets. Well, I mean, the Jets have 2 good wins. Jets have 2 bad losses. This is sort of a gut check game. A lot of Vikings certainly seem like they would be the right side here. But the Jets have a more talented roster at just about every position. So I'm going to take them. And the point, they do. They just have more talent. Not that the Vikings don't have good players. The Vikings have very good players. But, I like my quarterback better. I like my running backs better. I like my receiving group better than their receiving group, although Jefferson is the best receiver of the bunch. I like my defensive line better. I like my defensive backs better. I get the Vikings are playing good football, but I think I have more skill on my side. And so I hope it holds up. I'm going to take the Jets here.
I'm going to take Minnesota because, listen, this could be the game where everything regresses back for Sam Darnold. And Tim's right. We did see it a little bit in the second half against the Packers. But when they needed to go down and kick that field goal and score points, it was like, hey, Sam, let's make some throws here. Let's get into range and make this a 2-score game. And he was able to do that. And the biggest discrepancy between these two teams right now, I mean, maybe it's not the biggest, but the most noticeable thing, I think, Geoff, is the Jets' defense has been very middling, where Minnesota's defense has been awesome.
Yeah, it's a tough one. And just going back to Sunday, how there was the confusion about the spread, but the spread really did move like an insane amount.
No, the spread was 2.5.
No, but the original opening spread of this game in September, when the season kicked off, was Jets by 3.5.
Last week it was minus. It was I believe it was -1 for the Jets last week.
Yeah, makes sense.
Now, I like Minnesota here, 2.5.
The Jets traded up for the Yak God. That what's his name?
It'd be nice if we patent the Corley, Malachi Corley. It'd be nice if we put the ball in his hands every now and then.
Hey, you think in a game in the rain, a low scoring game, you just get the ball into the hands of a Yak God that you traded up for?
Instead of throwing a fadeaway pass on 3rd down to Xavier Gibson. Yeah, I don't know that was the best idea.
Do you think that Braylon Allen has stolen sort of the thunder from Malachi Corley? Because he's been good.
No.
He's been better than Breece Hall.
But they play different positions, so no. There's no reason you can't mix Corley into things more than they are. I don't know what they're planning on doing. I don't even care what they think they're doing. Just let Aaron run the offense the way he sees fit. He's essentially the offensive coordinator de facto. Let him do what he wants to do. He knows better than Hackett or Saleh does. He's won a Super Bowl. Let him do what he wants.
I think that he is doing what he wants, and all you did was complain about their play selection down the stretch against Denver.
Well, then let him start calling the plays, more or less.
I think that he is calling the plays.
Well, whatever.
He has Hackett there to take the heat for him.
If there's one thing he has historically done well in his career, it's take apart the Minnesota Vikings. So,
what are you doing for this game?
I'm going to miss the first half of it, and then the second half of it I will catch either at home or over at Patrick's, depending on how things work out.
Why didn't you couldn't
I
why didn't you
can't DVR it because when I turn my phone on, if things are going really well, then I'll have no text messages, and that will be the sign to me that the first half
Yeah,
went
so
really
go
well.
dark. Go dark from the world. I've done it.
But then if I turn my phone back on and there's a million messages, even if I don't look at the messages, that's enough to tell me the Jets have done very poorly.
Yeah, go dark and get caught up and then turn your phone on.
I'm not. I wouldn't get caught up until like 3 o'clock, and then by then I'll have missed part of the. I have a live show that I have to prepare for. Like, no, I can't do that, Geoff.
I was gonna say, like, what are you gonna miss if you go dark? Like someone's gonna come over, a drop-in guest might see if they want to come over for some cake.
I'm not gonna miss. I'm just gonna miss the first half, and honestly, that's not gonna bother me because I hate these London games. Out of principle, it doesn't bother me when I miss part of these London games. I will catch up when I catch up. I will see what I see. It'll be okay. Abolish these games. I hate them.
I love them.
Just hate them.
I love them
Last
so
night
much.
was so much better than no. But see, you actually don't because you prefer the doubleheader Mondays
Yeah,
to
but
these games.
you can have both. You realize that, right?
But we don't need to have.
And
both,
I never
is
said.
the thing.
And hold on, you're putting words in my mouth. I never said I preferred the Monday night doubleheader. I said I like the Monday night doubleheader. I also say I like the. I it doesn't even need to be in London. Play it fucking anywhere. I just like the early game. Gives me something to watch at the gym.
It's disenfranchising to millions and millions and millions of people. So it's just bad TV to begin with, and secondly, I just don't see their purpose. I don't see how that advances anything for anybody.
Some people have to go to church and watch Meet the Press.
Yeah, or other people live in Los Angeles and therefore aren't able to get up at 6 a.m. to watch the game.
Why can't they get up at 6 a.m.?
Because believe it or not, that they have other responsibilities, or they're asleep and they're not going to get up on their day off to watch a football game that includes two teams they don't have. It doesn't make any sense. It's just, you want to have these games, play them in like they used to at the start. Play them in the 2 o'clock slate. That's just a night game in London. That's far better. If you want to grow the game in London, if that's the point, because the point is not to grow television viewership, because you aren't going to do that. But you don't do that by playing a game when the largest state in the union basically can't watch the game. So you're not growing the viewership.
Yeah, but they don't care about the audience in California for this game. Like you just said, they care about the audience in London. So you make it for optimal time for them.
Play it at prime. No, it's not optimal. Play it at prime time in London.
What would it matter if it was prime time in London?
Dude, that's the optimal viewing time for people.
Is it? Then how come all the soccer games are on in the afternoon?
The optimal viewing time is always prime time.
For North America, maybe it's different in other countries, Tim.
I don't even understand what we're doing here. It doesn't make any sense.
Why don't they play all these soccer games at nighttime?
I don't know the ins and outs of how. I mean, they do play some evening games, but I don't know. I am not here to be able to quote to you how or why.
Well, you seem to be pretty sure of what it is, so you're quoting one thing.
What I'm pretty sure here is that it doesn't work.
But I think they play a Monday night.
It's still the most. Like if you can put on any football game, you can put on Countdown, you can put all that crap in the morning, it does okay. Like you said, you're going up against Church and Meet the Press. You put an actual game on, it's killing everything in the morning. You own the entire day at this point. And you're not taking anything away, and you're not taking anything away from the 2 o'clock games or the 1 o'clock games and the early slate, because people are watching those too. It's just something else to watch.
For the people who are awake. And many parts of the country, the United States, are not awake for it. Great. What are we proving here?
Well, that you can completely dominate all viewership of everyone who is up at this time.
Great. Okay. You would do better having it on at 2 o'clock.
You wouldn't.
You would do better having it.
You would do exactly the same ratings for all of the early games, and then you just eat up.
There's no plus. There's only drawbacks.
Apparently, to you, you're just pissed off because you're missing the Jets game when you could watch it anyway.
And it's also
go to church on Saturday night.
It also produces bad football. These games are notoriously awful.
I mean, Thursday night is terrible. They still run those out.
And Thursday night shouldn't exist either. And I wouldn't be surprised if in the next collective bargaining agreement, some of these games are done away with. Because the players do not like them. It's not good for them.
You know what the players like? The fucking cash that comes along with it.
Well,
you want to decrease their salary? You want to decrease their salaries? I'm sure they'll go for that.
There will be no decreasing. You can grow the pie and get rid of things that don't work.
Geoff? You're an economist. How do you grow the pie by getting rid of one of the standalone games that is some of the highest price volume you can get?
You can create them elsewhere. It's just caveman logic to assume that what we have is what we must keep. Caveman logic.
Explain it to me. You've given you're like one of these
having a Monday doubleheader.
You're like one of these politicians that are like, oh, we need to fix this. We need to fix this. Well, how do you pay for it? Well, we're gonna fix it. Well, tell me. We're going to take away the revenue of Thursday night on a standalone island from Amazon. And what are you going to do with it? How do you make up that money and make it grow?
They can have a standalone Monday night game.
When?
Problem solved.
Against Monday Night
Every week.
Football?
Yeah, every week.
So you're going to chop the audience in half.
You can give them a lot of Saturday games towards the end of the year when it's no longer illegal. There's all kinds of creative things that you can do. But Thursday football is bad for the players, and it's bad for football because the games are terrible. And these London games are bad for football and bad for players because the games are terrible. You know, if you act like these, it's that old line that if something can't go on forever, it won't. These things can't continue to go on as they are because there are too many drawbacks. So the question is only when they're going to get rid of them and what they're going to replace them with. And it seems to me that last night was a prime example of the sort of thing where you can see them replaced with. You know, double headers on Monday nights, more creativity with the schedule that doesn't result in Thursday games, which are just awful for player health and safety. They're awful. We really, really do need to do away with them. I'm shocked the NFLPA could even put up with it now. Anyway, and the London games are no different. You're making people travel huge distances for a game that in a country where people really don't care that much about the game for bad football on turf that sometimes is good and sometimes is bad, just to fly them back.
So Geoff,
the Brazil game was humiliating too. Like, it's things that don't work will not continue. That's not my opinion. That's the fact of how every single economy works.
So Geoff, let's see here. Through 3 weeks, Thursday night football ratings are up 20% over last season, and there's a 14% dip in ratings for the doubleheader football on Monday nights.
Because the games have been really bad on the Monday nights. Those are explainable.
I don't know.
Easily explainable.
That seems to work the opposite of what Tim just said, Geoff.
No, like you're using one sample size to quote another. Like that's really bad arguing. You think the viewers
that ratings are up for one of these games, the ratings are down for the other. When they put when they put on two games at one time, ratings go down. Shocker on that one. And then the Thursday night games are way up.
In a super short sample size where you just had some bad games versus games that weren't as bad. Yeah.
Geoff, you think they get rid of Thursday night football?
No, the job of these leagues right now is to find more independent, like TV windows.
Well, I don't think the players will put up with it. I don't think the players will put up with it.
Oh, the players are getting paid?
They'll get paid regardless. They'll get paid regardless, and there'll be lots of money, and there'll be lots of opportunities for lots of renewals
they
of contracts.
get to sell one package to fucking Bezos for a fortune.
Or they can say, you know what, you want an 18-game schedule? Well, then the cost and the table stakes are we get rid of the Thursday games.
Or
the league would take that, and the league would take it and run.
You just keep the Thursday game.
International.
You keep the Thursday game and add the game, and then it's even more money.
Well, that's not how collective bargaining works.
Tim, once they go 18, everyone might play an international game each year.
Oh, I suspect something like that will happen.
So you just complained about all international games.
I think well, again, because the international games have yet to prove their worth in terms of players hate them, the football's bad, not good for anybody.
You're just mad that the Jets are playing in one.
I don't like that the Jets are playing in one. We played in one somewhat recently, but whatever. I just don't like them in general.
Yeah, but Woody always, when the league needs a hand up for London after Mr. Khan, Woody's the next hand to go up.
Oh, I'm aware. We've played now 2 London games in like 5 years. It seems weird, but whatever.
Well, blame your owner.
I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
You got Jets or Vikings, Geoff?
Jets.
So Jets for you and Cust, Minnesota for myself in the coin. Next game, Carolina and Chicago. The Bears are favored by 4 in this game. Carolina's defense is, Shaq Thompson's out for the year now. Like, they keep losing pieces on defense every single week. So, the margin of them having to score points every single time becomes greater and greater, although their offense is looking a little bit better. The Bears were pretty good against the Rams. Not great by any stretch, but the defense continues to play well. I just feel like this is too many points for the Bears to cover. You're asking the Bears to cover, but to win by more than 4? It's a tough scene when you watch their offense over and over. And Geoff, at least Andy Dalton's moving the ball.
I might really like Carolina here, Pat. I agree. It just seems like there's way more points. I don't know how much better Chicago is than Carolina, and that's fucking gross to say as it pertains maybe to the Bears. But I got no faith in them, and I'm willing to take. I believe I want these I believe in this game. I just want those points.
This is like the tailor-made Fienberg game of the week.
Maybe.
In my opinion, there's no doubt. I like the Panthers to cover. I do think the Bears are going to win.
I am exactly on the same page as you here. I mean, I can see Carolina winning this game. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah,
but
yeah.
Cleveland by
And
2, Chicago by 2 seems like the outcome here.
Yeah, and if Caleb makes a couple extra like ceiling plays and they end up winning by like 10 or 17, I'm not totally shocked. It's not exactly like Carolina's talented, but I'm just taking it's gross to say I have a better taste in my mouth as it pertains to Carolina than Chicago. Maybe that's clearly expectations relative, but I'm taking the points here.
We are teasing Carolina up to 10.5.
Yeah.
Carolina to 10 10.5 or 10.
10.5. It's a 7-point tease.
So
we're teasing the Panthers up.
You're teasing them up to 11 then.
Oh, sorry. I guess it would be I guess it is 11. Here we're
11's more of a
it,
key number these days.
We're
right?
quoting it at 4, aren't we? Okay, yeah. I'm teasing them up. It's a 7-point tease, and we're teasing up the Panthers.
You still think the Bears are going to the Super Bowl?
No, I don't think they're going to the Super. I still think they're a playoff-ish team in the NFC, but they're not.
How would you rank them in their division, though?
Last.
Yeah,
that's not an indictment on. I mean, it is sort of an indictment.
No,
on them.
I think they're better than. I still think they're better than the Packers. There's still a lot to be seen from Green Bay because they haven't had their quarterback for 2 of the 4 games. One was a game in Brazil that told us nothing, and last week they laid an egg in the first half, and that game sort of went sideways. So Green Bay is a big fat incomplete on the.
I would actually. I don't know about Pat. I think the Packers are definitively better than the Bears.
I don't think we can know anything about the Packers actually.
I disagree
because of the lack of QB and the international game and a game where they got down 28-0. I just think they're of the 32 teams in the league. I think the Packers are the only team we can know just about nothing about, at least on the offense. Don't know nothing about through the first 4 weeks.
I don't think they're going to be bad, and I think they could be really good. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, maybe, but we haven't seen it. We can't see it yet. We haven't seen it yet. Like the Malik Willis games teach us nothing about their offense because that's not the way they play football. And last week they were down 28-0, and then they played a game in Brazil with no turf.
It shows us
it's all speculation.
Yeah, I think it shows us a hell of a lot about their offense and their coaching staff.
No, it tells us about
team.
It tells us about their coaching staff. Yes, it tells us nothing about their offense. We have no clue what this Green Bay offense really looks like yet because they haven't really been up and running.
I'm with you, Geoff. I think that Green Bay is clearly better. Because if we're going off like you're going off priors with the Jets and how good they're supposed to be, and so giving them the benefit of the doubt, at least it's 2-2 for the Packers. They've won games without their quarterback, and once the second half kicked in, he got his sea legs back up underneath of him. Love looked fine against Minnesota. So I haven't seen Chicago look good against anyone yet. Even
their
for
offense
a half.
Their offense has been trouble. Their defense is playing good football.
Yeah, it's playing good, but it's not like it's a lights out defense.
I would pick the Bears in a neutral site game. I would probably pick Chicago. Well, I still would pick Chicago to win, but let's get closer.
Do you think that Chicago would be favored in a neutral site game?
Probably not.
Okay.
But I would still take the Bears.
But you're not taking them against Carolina?
Not against the number, no.
Baltimore at Cincinnati. The Bengals are 2.5-point dogs at home against the Ravens, coming off a huge win. The Ravens look like they're fine, despite the fact that all of their pass catchers just apparently don't matter. Geoff and Lamar looks awesome again. Henry looks awesome again. The defense has started to play well. I worry about the Bengals defense, but very sneakily, the Bengals offense has been really awesome after week 1 against the Patriots. That I just think this one swings back the other way. Cincinnati so desperately needs this win to keep their season alive, and keep themselves in the division. If Pittsburgh loses again this week, then all of a sudden they're like a game back. I think it's more fun if the Bengals win, and you're Joe Burrow. You're getting 2.5 points at home. I wouldn't be surprised that if by kickoff this was 3, because I can just see an awful lot of Ravens money coming in because everyone just saw how great they looked and kicked the shit out of the Bills. So I'll take Cincinnati plus 2.5.
We're reading the same mail here, and I can tell you it's not that Ravens money expects to come in. It is coming in. It is coming in heavy. I'm almost blindly just thinking to myself in a way that, like, clearly Baltimore's good. I'm not doubting that. But after like how the last 2 weeks went, beating the Cowboys, it's always a thing. That great Bills win on Sunday night, they feel slightly overrated again. And the Bengals kind of feel slightly underrated again. I'd probably wait to actually bet it because, as you said, Pat, I think we get more points, potentially a crucial key number, potentially. So I'm going to take the Bengals though. I think this is going to be a burner.
Yeah, the
Chargers aren't playing, so this is my game at 1:00, I guess.
Tim, Baltimore has the best offense in football. Cincinnati is the 4th best offense in football.
Yeah, it should be super high scoring. That's for sure. The problem is I don't know how much I can trust the Bengals defense. I just don't. I mean, what have we seen from? I mean, Carolina scored points on them, and Washington scored all kinds of points on them.
But those teams score points now.
They do score points. I don't know. I think the offenses are sort of a draw, and I don't trust the Bengals defense to hold up their end of the bargain. I think it's Ravens or nothing. So I'll take the Ravens.
It's probably the right side because almost when we look at offense, defense, and special teams, Baltimore does rank ahead of them. But division game, home. I mean, if you think the teams are somewhat close, and I do, that getting the points at home in a division game, that's usually your bag. Division dogs.
At three, I'd take the Bengals. At 2.5, I think there's no real value on the 2.5, enough to go against it. And I just think the Bengals defense is going to struggle. And if they're going to struggle, I have real issues holding 2.5 points against the way the Ravens are playing offense.
All right, I'm excited to watch this one. Miami at New England. Not so optimistic about.
Also,
this one.
I'm very excited to watch this game. I hope this game goes 8 quarters of overtime.
Big screen?
And they punt. Oh, I'd love it to be big screen. I can't wait to watch these two teams flounder on television. You have no idea how happy this game makes me.
The Patriots are 1-point favorites now after Monday Night Football. The Dolphins coming off of a short week. Are these the two worst teams in football as currently constituted, Geoff?
You could make an argument. I don't like. I'm not saying they are, but you could convince someone that they are. I will admit. I bet the Dolphins versus Seattle, following my theory of the backup quarterback with that first game. I was on the Titans last night because I was so put off of what happened versus Seattle. I am genuinely shocked at how bad, like one of the defining characteristics of a coach in some ways is how does the team play with the backup? Like winning the game is one thing, but creating situations, creating throws. I am shocked. The Dolphins are like 1-12 on 4th down conversions. That is so weird. That's literally like, I don't know, coaching to a certain extent and play call. Nothing is easy. Why can't he create easy throws? All the good coaches can create easy throws to their playmakers.
I think of a lot of it has to do, if I was to theorize why playing the 4th string quarterback and the offense not looking good and why it could look good with Tua is that with their diminished offensive line, like there's no time to throw anyway, and the run blocking hasn't been good, and you can't set anything up because everyone just kind of knows what play call is coming. So Tua can get the ball out so quickly, hit these guys in stride, get them in space, and the other guys just are not equipped to do it. So Tim, I guess my question to you is Tua the MVP?
No, he's not the MVP, but he's certainly the MVP of their team.
Yeah.
The idea that Tyreek Hill was the MVP of their team last year. Let that argument come to grief because he's there and this team is doing nothing. The Patriots have got to be the play here because while they're god awful, they've got some spunk and they fight and like they don't just roll over. The Dolphins have had no fight in them at all for 2 weeks. Really 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks. Like, I mean, understandable that
Tyreek Hill showed less fight for that fumble last night, than he did in keeping his window up.
Like Tyreek, yeah. I mean, like ever since Tua got hurt, this team seems to have just folded the tent. And I don't see any reason to think that the Patriots should be 2.5-point favorites here or 3-point favorites here. They should not be 1-point favorites at home. There is value on the Patriots. I think you got to take them. I expect the Patriots to win this game because, like I said, They're still fighting. They're still scrappy. They're bad, but they're trying. I don't see any life in the Dolphins at all. And I cannot pick a team I think has no life in them.
Personally, the situation at quarterback is an indictment on the organization.
It sure is.
Because to have the Tua as your starter and to not feel like you need to invest in backup, well, you deserve everything that comes from having that happen. But even going back to McDaniel versus Seattle, when Skyler was healthy, like he couldn't make a play. They couldn't make an easy play. We have seen over the last couple years, backups come in from all around the league. Guys show up 2 weeks later, winning games, be it Dobbs or freaking Malik Willis. I'm not even saying winning the games. I am shocked at how difficult it looks for them to make plays, for them to move the ball with a guy that, I'm as guilty. I'm guilty of it. Like one's called Boy Genius. Like I am shocked by that. All the good offensive minded head coaches can make backups like not look horrific. And he can't even like get a first down, this guy. So I don't know what's going on.
I do have a tweet from Devin A. Chain, Geoff. Sorry to all y'all fantasy owners. Dolphins fan, stick with us. Are you going to stick with them or are you going to go with New England?
I will stick with them this week. I was convinced Tua would play again this year, but their win-loss record could be at a place where there's literally no point.
I can see that. I'm just trying to figure out like what is truly wrong and why this offense isn't working, Tim. Do you think it's because, and let me try to talk this one through here, that we all kind of acknowledge that Tua is good for the system that he's in, and he probably wouldn't succeed in any other system. But do you think that there's a problem with where they know what his limitations are, they know what his skills are, that this offense is so geared to what he does, including the personnel, that it just doesn't work with anyone else, and just they don't have the personnel to run like a standard offense at this point?
Does seem that way. Does seem like they built this car in such a way that it can only be driven by one person. And based on that person's idiosyncrasies. And when somebody else tries to get into the driver's seat, they can't even turn the ignition on.
And it's like the the McDonald's ice cream machine. Only one person's allowed to fix the car. And it gets broken a lot. So it's in the shop a lot. So that's a very risky proposition to do. And, it's one thing to do that if your quarterback is of like the talent of Lamar Jackson or like Michael Vick or something. But when it's a Tua and then you walk into this problem, seems like they're screwed.
I agree. And I think I don't know how much of it, obviously a lot of the blame has to be put on McDaniel, but like you mentioned, it's an organizational problem as well because, they stuck him with 7-8 of diamonds and then the flop came down King, Queen, Jack, not of diamonds. And he's like, okay, well, I got nothing here. Maybe I'll try to bluff it. That's not going to work. Because at least with San Francisco, where he came from, and the Shanahan offense, they've never had like one of these specifically tailored quarterbacks to the system. They've had like generic tall white quarterback guy come in and just kind of do the same thing. And they found that with Purdy, it works really well. When it was CJ Beathard, it still kind of worked. With Garoppolo, it worked a little bit better. With Purdy, it works better. But they're all kind of different permutations of the same thing, right?
Yeah, could you not say the same for what we've seen in Minnesota since O'Connell's
or Green Bay?
Yeah.
Or Green Bay.
Green Bay
what LaFleur was able to do.
Green Bay is totally different, though, and I think we all acknowledge
that shows a coach who's nimble enough to be able to change an offense for what the quarterback he has. McDaniels can't do it.
Sure, but I don't think that offense is specifically tailored to the skill set of Jordan Love. Jordan Love is just good and excels in that offense, whereas you can still run another quarterback out there. It's my theory, at least, that this team is so set up for Tua that just no one else can really do anything because they don't have the personnel for it.
Yeah,
like they tried running the ball against Tennessee. That didn't work. When Malik Willis was starting for Green Bay, Josh Jacobs had 33 carries or something, and it was effective.
And Tennessee was without Jeffrey Simmons and another key piece that you almost make them think they're not nearly the type of defense as stout a defense as they normally are. And the Dolphins couldn't do anything. So they didn't even have their best like point of attack defender out there.
Could they be better week 2 with Huntley, Tim?
Maybe. Sorry.
No, I mean, could they be better? I mean, could they be worse? I suppose it's hard to imagine. But they've just been completely flat as a pancake for 2 weeks, and until they show some modicum of life, you don't have to bet against their opponent, but don't pick them.
Yeah, I think that's probably pretty good advice. I'll take New England -1. So Geoff is on Miami Island in this game. Cleveland and Washington. The Commanders are 3-point favorites at home against the Browns, who have a historically inept offense. I was reading that they are the lowest EPA offense of the new Browns era, Tim, since they moved back to Cleveland, which is shocking. And right now, Washington's offense is second to only the 2007 Patriots in terms of efficiency. So this is really a clash of styles, although for some reason I kind of like Cleveland's defense to kind of punch Jaden Daniels in the mouth a little bit.
They could do that, but I still don't think they would cover the number.
That's true.
Like they could slow them down slightly, but this is still a short spread for what I think could be one of the 4 or 5 teams that could actually compete for something in the NFC, compared to a team that I don't think can compete for much in Cleveland. I think if this game were played in 6 or 7 weeks, this game might be Commanders by 7.5, but it's 3 today, and I like that -3.
I feel like the world's going to be on Washington here, Geoff. Not that I care about that, but there's something odd about this number to me. And I sniffed this one out week 2 against Jacksonville. Obviously, I think that Washington's much better than Jacksonville, but Washington's been playing a gravy train of easy defenses here. And this, although it's not what it was last year, it's still a pretty good defense.
Yeah, I'm kind of torn. I want these points. I almost just want to fade the popularity of Washington. Who, I mean, we were with Kenny this week watching the games. There was nothing but cheering coming from Kenny's corner. Kenny's couch was just yes and cheering and so proud of how Jaden was sliding and everything. But you have to almost ask yourself if the commanders, like Tim could be right. We could be, if this game is in a month, it could be the touchdown spread, but this might also be like, are the Commanders really overrated at this moment? So that's sort of where I'm stuck. I'm going to take points. Fun football game, close game, last second.
Everything in me wants to take Cleveland, but I just can't do it. I'm with Tim. I do think in like a month's time, the spread's like 6.5, 7. So I'll take Washington. And it's fun to cheer for Washington, isn't it? When was the last rookie that felt this exciting, Tim?
Last rookie who felt
Stroud?
this exciting.
Who?
Yeah, I guess Stroud last year is a good example.
Yeah, I mean, Stroud wasn't exciting like this in a weird way.
Yeah.
Because he's just
Been a
doing
while.
everything himself. It's awesome.
Dak was pretty exciting.
RG3? I don't know.
RG3 is like the one that I think of where it's like, holy shit, this guy's exciting. Like Lamar was exciting when he came in his rookie year, but they basically they ran the Malik Willis Green Bay offense with Lamar for the rest of the season until they got into year 2. So it wasn't like super exciting. This is just exciting. He's hitting bombs down the field. He's making dudes miss everywhere. It is very reminiscent of RG3. So I'm going to feel bad when he like gets hurt and all the Washington fans are devastated again. I hope that doesn't happen because he's a lot of fun. Indy and Jacksonville. The Jags are favored by 3 points, and I am blindly taking Jacksonville in this game because there's no reason for them to.
I'm teasing the Colts up.
Oh, yeah.
Are you taking them?
And I like the Colts.
That's the thing.
The Colts to win the game.
I most definitely see it based on everything we've seen this year. That makes a ton of sense. I just don't like the Colts. They don't seem good to me. And I know they beat Pittsburgh at home, but just to watch them, you're like, what are they doing?
No, I know, but like Jacksonville is maybe the worst team in football, or at least one of the 3 worst teams.
I see.
They got nothing.
And maybe they'll go down to the wire, Geoff, and blow it here again. But they should have beat Miami. They should have won last week against Houston. The only game that they really got pummeled in was the Buffalo game. The other 3 games have been pretty close, and they lost coin flips in them. And maybe they're just like if we go back to priors from the beginning of the year, Jacksonville was supposed to be better than Indianapolis. Like, do we know that Anthony Richardson is starting for Indianapolis as of this point in time, or could it be Joe Flacco again?
I'm
Could be
presuming it's
Flacco.
Joe Flacco. I'm presuming it's Flacco, actually,
Okay.
which is why the Jaguars are favored, because I think the books are not wise to this, perhaps, or the bettors aren't wise to this.
You think
perhaps.
this? You think the spread? I don't. It might not even make a difference to the Bucks who starts from a point
I
spread
don't.
perspective.
I'm not sure I agree. I think it
would
brings it
get.
down.
I would guess that if I didn't see that a starter was announced, and I just checked, the starter hasn't been announced, so we're still waiting on Richardson's hip. I would guess that the Colts would be valued as a better team currently against the spread with Joe Flacco than Anthony Richardson.
Well, you don't want a quarterback playing hurt,
Yeah.
so that it wouldn't even be Richardson at 100%.
Yeah, that's right.
And Jonathan Taylor is going to be out a long time, it looks like.
I'm taking the Jags. Just like I think they'll get off the mat. I don't have a good feeling on this game. I don't see myself betting it. It's also really embarrassing when we do a show a week early on like the Monday.
When you said the Jags were going to beat the Bills?
Yeah, I said the Jag. I think the Jags are going to beat the Bills. And that game was probably like as some people were listening to the show. That's okay. Make a lot of bad picks. I'm used to it.
Look, they had an opportunity to win that game, 4th and goal against Houston. They should have won the game. And then I saw people like bitching online about the safety at the end, but it was like when you went back and looked at it, clearly wasn't a safety. So you could tell where people had their money at. I mean, Jags plus 4.5. That's a fun one to have in your back pocket when they don't call it a safety and they call him down at the 1 yard line. But
there was a safety last night that was not a safety. Huntley was out of that pocket when he threw that ball away. They called that a safety. That was terrible. Then they showed the highlight of it, and it was pretty clear he was outside the pocket. They still called it a safety.
I want to see where these teams rate out for the season. Yeah, Jacksonville.
There should be a concern though if you like the Jags. Like, I think it's in the possibility that they'll quit on their coach or they have quit, and if that shows up on a Sunday. Like, if you bet on a team that's quit on its coach, you're just fucked. Like,
but they get to play a real home game next week when they go to London.
Back-to-back home games
for 2, yeah. Yeah, they get to go home for the first time.
I think
that guy will fire a coach. He's not afraid to fire the coach.
One thing I have underrated about Indianapolis so far, and maybe it's been the quality of their opposition, some of the offenses that they've played, was their defenses actually looks pretty good, which I was not prepared for to be like one of the better defenses, like a top 10-ish defense in football. Maybe that's all fool's gold because you played the Bears and the Steelers in back-to-back weeks, but I've been pleasantly surprised with how their defense looks, and if they can just ball control, not turn the ball over, maybe they just wax the Jags here. But like I said, the Jags have been playing these close games. They're just inept at the end of them.
Oh, I don't expect them to wax them, but I don't think I could lay 3 points with Jacksonville. Like, if you told me this game was a pick 'em, I'd have to sit here and think about who do I think's going to win this. But like to lay 3 points, nah, I can't.
Without potentially Richardson and Jonathan Taylor?
Yeah, the Jaguars are not playing good. They're sort of beginning to spiral a little bit. Maybe they could win. It's a divisional game, but in a divisional game where you're not beloved of either team, getting 3 full points on the road these days seems rarer and rarer. So I would take it.
If the Jags lose, Geoff, that will mark 10 consecutive losses for them.
Yeah, I think he's fired if they lose.
Do you think it's his
No,
fault?
they won't fire him. They won't fire him before London. They'll let him go to London for 2 weeks, and after the London games, they'd let him go. I think.
Well, maybe they'll fire Doug Peterson before London. Then they'll run a contest for the next 2 weeks in London where there's some sort of like, if you buy a ticket, you could be the coach of the Jags. And that'll make it super popular in London.
If they wanted to do something really cool, they'd let like Chris Jericho coach the Jags because the son owns
the
the wrestler.
AEW crossover.
Yeah.
Just tie in that promotion to it. All right, the best game, on paper at least, of the early morning games is Buffalo at Houston. The Texans are 1-point dogs at home to the Bills, coming off that embarrassing performance on Sunday Night Football. The Texans have yet to cover a game, though, Tim. Like, they haven't looked good.
No, they haven't. I thought Sunday night, as the game was unrolling, I said to Paul, I like the Bills to bounce back in this game. And I still do. I think they should bounce back here. I like them. The Texans, have yet to play an impressive football game. And Buffalo, they played terribly on Sunday nights, but they've also put together games where they look impressive. Yeah, Buffalo here. I think it's going to be the right side.
It's the defense, honestly. Like, you'd expect that offense to be amazing with just the playmakers that they have, Stroud in year 2, and it's been like middle of the pack, and the defense has been actively bad, Geoff. Where I'm not going to call Buffalo's defense amazing by any stretch, but outside of the Ravens' first half, they've been pretty good. And this Texans offense doesn't look like the Ravens offense, who rank number 1 in football right now.
The Bills might be a super lock for me. Josh Allen is sort of in that territory of quarterbacks I'll just bet on after a loss, especially at what is a game that flirts with a pick 'em or, a win only spread, essentially. I'm on the Bills here. Bounce back big. It could be a super lock for me.
All right, I'm on Buffalo as well. The coin has decided to take the -1 or the +1 with the home dog in Houston against Buffalo. But that's just, I don't know if I'm going to be as hard on Buffalo as you are in terms of betting. This might be a game I just throw on the big screen to sit back and watch and enjoy it, because I can just see like nonsense happening in this game. Like, wasn't this the Josh Allen Spinner-Rooney fumble backwards in the playoffs in his first playoff game, Tim?
It was.
Yeah, Tim held that against him for like 5 years.
Well, it's been 5
I
years.
sure did.
Yeah, he's still holding it against him.
Yeah, this game or the Ravens Bengals game should be good. But Tim and your boys are going to be vouching for Dolphins Patriots.
I don't think that the Dolphins fans are going to be vouching for Dolphins on the big screen by any stretch of the imagination.
I'm going to want Commanders on the big screen, but that's just because I want to watch Jade Daniels play.
Yeah, I mean, he's becoming one of those guys that you throw him on there. I mean, you met the other Tim from our text group over the last week. Fair and balanced Tim Butts, as you would call him, Geoff. I don't think he's going to want the Dolphins up there.
No, and I would say nobody runs like an accounting of Tim harder than Tim Butts.
He's like a personal fact checker.
Yeah, he is like a on-site ombudsman for your life. Like,
we gave him a chance to come on Sunday night. He said he did not want to come on. Probably because
But he was an Easter egg. He was an Easter egg in one of the photos.
Maybe you could put him on and like cover his identity and change his voice.
I think it's just we didn't have enough makeup for the top of his head with all those lights that he just didn't want to like reflect back into the camera. That brings us to the midway point of the show, which means it's time for a mini version of Cust Corner.
Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. He's got the hottest takes with the highest stakes. He should be president of the United States, but it's Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. Cust Corner,
That's not what people are calling it.
Geoff, I want you to start on this one, because we might have to do a GoFundMe for someone. So hit it with the story. Actually, Tim, do you want to start your end of the story first?
No, Geoff can tell the story. That's fine.
Well, I'll start the story and then I will like hand it off to Tim and then I'll probably come in and with the leg drop, right?
Yeah.
So I'm standing there on 16 hole on Saturday. I've sort of found an elevated spot, can see 17 green, 16 green. Nice little spot, see some of the matches come through. And as anyone who watched our recap show, I like the little alone times. Sometimes you get to the course. Like I found my alone time from the frat house, like at the course. So I wasn't afraid to go wander alone. No secrets. Run into Tim. He's walking like a peacock. He's walking like a peacock when he finds me. He had just met someone. It was a lovely interaction, but this person had spotted Tim and said, "Oh, it's you." And don't get me wrong, I spotted a lot of great people at the course this week.
Many great people.
Yeah, like truly. And I think it'd be pretty rare if you caught like a bunch of us together. So I'm sure like when people saw me alone, it was like opening a pack of cards and getting like the shitty card. But when you saw like, if you opened your pack of cards and you saw like Tim wandering, you might have been like very happy. Nonetheless, everyone we met was great. Tim was happy. He just had a lovely interaction. Why don't you tell people about your interaction, Tim?
Just that this person came up to me and said that they were happy to meet me and shook him warmly by the hand and asked where he was from and mentioned what he did for work and wished him the best of luck and said thank you for being a fan, and then moved on my way. It was a very lovely interaction.
What did he tell you about the length of shows?
He said that he loves them as long as possible due to the nature of his work, which is someone who does courier work. That the long shows are phenomenal for his work. And I said, and here I am trying to shorten shows actively every single week.
Then Geoff.
So Sunday morning, wake up, a little bit of a later morning, another fun Saturday in Montreal. And I get a DM and I am like truly rattled. Like this DM shook me. It shook me. From the person that Tim met. I should have made a better effort to meet up with you guys at the course yesterday, but I was with my dad and didn't want to get separated from family. Ran into Tim and shook his hand, though which was the highlight of my day. He's such an awesome and genuine guy. After the last putt, we waited 3 hours to shuttle back to the parking lot I parked at and found my car was missing and stolen. So I'm on my way to the police station now. This is the worst case scenario for me, as I'm a courier who relies on my vehicle to make money. Always believed in the curse, and I'm a firm believer in Tim's powers. Feel free to use this as ammo or content for the great show. Love all you guys and hope the show show's around for a very long time. Enjoy your day at the course. Hope the Ints pull it off. So yeah, that really rattled me. I wished him all the best. Today I tried to follow up with Stefan.
Yeah, what we're gonna do, like, Stefan, give Geoff an update and let him know what's going on with it. Because if not, we have a big community here at the Pat Mayo Experience and Mayo Media Network, and if your life has been affected by the Ander curse, there's a class action lawsuit that you can probably call and get like Pressler Law or Jim the Hammer Shapiro on your side, or we can help you out on this one because we don't want any viewers of the show struggling because of the Ander curse, especially after you met Tim and he was so nice to you. I think that's the thing, Geoff, and that's why Tim Butts skates away with it, and even me. There's the more vitriol Tim has towards you, the less that the Ander curse works on you. Like, how fast, Paul and Jared, you guys can chime in on this. How fast did the Ander curse get Maggie Smith on the weekend? 4 hours?
Longer than that. It's like the day before I had mentioned her as a big name actress. And then the next day she happened to pass away.
You said that she could fill in for Matlock.
I did say that, yeah. And
Then you
Can I
said,
just say I feel so bad for Stefan. He was such a nice person. We had such a nice interaction. I'm so sorry that happened. I take no responsibility. It's not my fault, but I certainly feel terrible for him, and I hope that everything goes well. And I hope this show is an adequate length, and that the future shows are adequate length.
I think you owe him like a marathon fundraiser.
yeah, we said that we could raise money by doing all the things that you could do over time and getting people to bid on it. Like, how much to see Tim do a cartwheel on a live stream? We probably raised like 10 grand.
Or honestly, just do like a one prime time watch along. If you can make list suggestions or something for Tim, or I don't know, maybe people have to pay for lists. There's a lot of ways I think Tim can fundraise, because it really seems like you got this guy good. Can you imagine?
No. I didn't. All I did was shake somebody's hand. Don't blame me for the horrible outcome. Don't blame me for this.
Tim,
I didn't do
he
anything.
had his car stolen out of town. It's one thing if your car's stolen, where you're from, and
I'm
a
deeply
friend
sympathetic. I feel terrible
or a
that
family member
can
come get you. What the Montreal police probably looked at him like, sorry, man, there ain't shit we can do. You're on your own. He's not even in the town he's from.
Why are you yelling at me? I understand how awful this is. I feel terrible for him, but it's not my fault.
No, it's genuinely worst case scenario, and it might have been a part your fault.
No, it's not. It's 0% my fault. 0%. All I did was shake somebody's hand and wish them the best and have a very friendly, kind interaction with a fan, which, as he mentions in your DM, was a very lovely interaction.
Until
that is completely separate and apart. That is complete coincidence.
Until his livelihood got stripped from him I often wonder if the Ender curse would like cease to exist if Tim just took ownership for what he does to people.
Well, I take no responsibility.
Who's the 98-year-old person that he mentioned?
Dick Van Dyke.
Dick Van Dyke. So he's on watch now because that's it. I told Tim he's not allowed to talk about anybody over the age of 70. Like, that's just reckless behavior after his history.
Well, we want to hopefully insurance came through. Stefan was able to get himself a car in the meantime, and that insurance is going to replace all of that for him. He didn't miss a beat, but if you did, reach out to Geoff because we want to help you out if not, if that's the case, because we said we don't want to see, and leaving Tim aside in all honesty with this, is that, we don't want to see anyone struggle out there, especially with like a crappy event like that, especially after meeting us at the course too. Like, of course we want to help you out after this. The other thing though, Geoff, you had already left because you packed up and got out at like 3 a.m. on Monday morning?
Oh, we're not going to litigate this, are we?
5 a.m. What happened?
Oh, God. Okay, let's litigate it then.
So I'll throw out the scenario to Geoff. And Geoff, so Tim was in a room with 2 other people. You remember that?
And one of them is my personal fact checker. It should be mentioned.
And the other one is like the world's nicest guy, Mike. Shout out Mike, who
Very
brought
nice.
all the equipment up, set it all
Very
up,
nice.
and got some amazing shots at the course. We'll be releasing those very, very soon. So Tim's in a room with these guys. So Tim sets his alarm for 7:20, and everyone's asleep. And then the alarm goes off in the room. And what does Tim do? He decides to get up and just turn off the alarm and go back to sleep. But do you know what happened during the course of that alarm, Geoff?
You woke up other people?
Yeah, he woke up Butts, who was trying to sleep. And Tim just went back to bed like nothing happened. And Butts was pissed.
Oh, yeah. When I woke up, he came right aboard me. And I was like, look, I set the alarm because I was planning to maybe get up at 7:20. I thought I might go for a walk. I might do my packing. I might clean, to get a shower, stuff like that. I was thinking, I might be optimistic enough that I might want to be productive. But when that alarm went off, I was like, no, I have the energy for nothing, and I turned it off.
That's a pretty selfish thing to do, like, considering it wasn't even for catching a flight.
Yeah.
With
that
other
was,
people
that
in your
was the
room.
consensus, but Tim refused to apologize.
I did apologize. I apologized that I didn't get up when the alarm went off. I apologized. I should have got up and because if I had gotten up and gone about my day the way I described, there would have been no criticism.
A little bit still criticism.
Yeah, of course.
I don't think so.
Because
I think I would have been.
You have an Apple Watch just like me. You were the one who recommended it to me. You can set an alarm on your watch that will just vibrate and wake you up rather than blast an alarm in a room full of other people and then not even fucking get up.
Yeah, you can't do that. You can't, like, it's not like you had an exam or a flight. Like,
it didn't occur to me it was the problem.
Well, it should. That was the whole point of the argument, that it should occur to you that it's a problem. And what he wanted from an apology was an apology for waking him up, not an apology that you didn't get up.
Well, I mean, you know what? Next time that we share a room, I will get his permission before I set an alarm. I'll run it by him next time. I didn't think setting an alarm would be the big deal. I've heard other people's alarms in my life and then just gone right back to sleep. Like, okay, fair enough. I should have thought about the fact that there were other people in the room.
It's hard. No, because me and Butts were having a conversation about it earlier in the trip. Like, I kind of like this week, like when I woke up, I was up. Like, I had a hard time. Like, you're just not in your own bed. It's just, yeah, and you're not like alone in a hotel room either. So like when I woke up, I felt like I just like almost got up for the day. Like, it wasn't easy to fall back asleep.
If I could go back in time, I wouldn't set the alarm.
I mean, you should have just posted up in the car. Because, I mean, no better place for you to sleep than in the car every day.
So what did you do? You just went back to bed?
So I turned off the alarm when I heard it, and I rolled over and went back to sleep.
And then when did Butts confront you?
When I woke up.
Butts gave you the courtesy of letting you go back to sleep, only to accost you the moment you woke up. Because he was in the living room pissed. and just think about what he said. That Tim's idea of setting the alarm this early, Geoff, was to get up and go for a walk, which just fucking wasn't happening ever. And then 2, he was going to pack in the room full of people who were asleep.
I would have been very quiet. You wouldn't have heard
Everyone
me,
else packed the night before.
but I didn't want to.
It's true.
It's very
Yeah, he packed.
like,
Well, I wasn't making a 5 a.m. dash to the door like Geoff to leave. I didn't pack the night before.
hey,
Hey, listen.
I was packed. Butts was packed. Even Kenny was packed.
I would have been quiet. You wouldn't have heard me pack.
Okay, you say that,
That's
but wait, hold on.
impossible.
No, hold on. He says we wouldn't hear him pack. Yet when
You
he
need a
was
light.
when he was packing, we could hear him from the other room going, "Fuck, fuck, fuck! It won't close."
Don't know that I was using any profanity, but I was upset.
Paul,
that
can you
it
please
wouldn't
chime in
close.
on that?
He was swearing.
Thank you.
Well, I apologize. I should not have used any sort of foul language.
It
but I was
wasn't the
trying to get
foul language that we thought was the problem. It was you yelling at it that was the problem.
So look, I apologize for all my shortcomings.
No,
I
you
don't know
didn't.
what
No,
else to
no,
say.
you didn't. That's the thing. You didn't apologize.
I should have gotten up.
That's
I know.
why he
I
wouldn't.
agree. I shouldn't have got.
This is why he didn't accept your apology.
And had I gotten up, there would have been no problems.
I mean, there still would have been a problem. You still didn't have to set off an alarm in the middle of people who were trying to sleep just because you maybe wanted to get up. Even if you
Well, but
wanted
like
to
I was-
get up and did get up, there were so many easier ways to set that alarm that only you would be able to hear it.
Well, if I could go back and do it differently, I would do it differently. So I am sorry. I should not have done that. I regret it. I apologize, and I won't do it again. I have learned my lesson from this.
Did you know that Geoff said he had an easier time going to sleep because he had bunk bed experience from camp when he was younger?
He did say that his bunk bed
No,
experience
that's
from
not.
camp
That's
led him to
not
be a
what
very effective
That's
bunk
not
bed
what
sleeper.
I said.
I
That's
thought-
not what
I thought that
said.
is what you said.
And
I
as
said
someone who is
I
petrified of
have
bunk beds, couldn't do that.
Nothing about going to sleep. I just said I had bunk bed experience, but I don't even want to. I mean, never mind.
There was one point we were standing at the top of the grandstands, and Tim told Butts and I that he could survive the fall from the top of the grandstands to the bottom,
Oh.
yet he was afraid of going on the top bunk.
Terrified.
How does that make any sense?
I would roll off the top bunk onto the floor. I know I would.
That would be 6 feet, not 40 feet on the other drop.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be ready.
The problem with the bunk beds was that when you're on the lower bunk, you couldn't even sit up. Like the gap between the lower bunk and the top bunk
Was
what
very small.
was very small. Yeah.
And
It's
since
okay.
most people didn't hear it, Tim, and because most people don't watch versus this show and the Sunday night recap or the travelogue show that we put out, all on Mayo Media Network right now. Some of the channel and subscribe while you're here. Can you recount what happened at the tasting menu, which you were very terrified going into, and you won the night with the tasting menu?
I tried every single dish that was offered. I went into it with a open mind and a good spirit, and I happened to enjoy, to differing degrees, some things a lot, some things just a little, everything that I was offered, and it made it a very pleasant culinary experience. I didn't sit there with my arms folded, pouting, and wondering where my dino nuggets were. I simply put my shoulder to the wheel, and I ate everything that I was fed, rather than act that I just couldn't. Yes, I have a phobia for new foods too. I don't particularly, I haven't ran out and bought a bunch of sea snails since we ate that sea snail ragu. I probably will never eat it again in my life. But I'll tell you what, in that instance, in that moment, I decided that it was time for me to try it, and it was a good experience. And that's why, I'm the U.S. team and Geoff is the international team when it comes to votes going into the election.
This is such bullshit.
Did I lie? Did anything I just say not true?
I would like to just combat this in a way that is just true and authentic to myself. To all you guys, to Kenny, I didn't do it. I didn't do enough. When there were so many things that I actually did eat that night, but there's certain things I just won't eat.
Well, edibles don't count.
What?
I said edibles don't count.
No, I don't do edibles.
Oh, that's right. That was Kevin. They hit him on the show when we were live and he couldn't talk.
Yeah, and I'm sure they hit him at the restaurant. But like to my friends like that aren't part of like the internet and people who I know in my real life, I actually ate way more than they would have thought. I wouldn't go to a tasting menu with you guys. I said, like, I'm going for the vibes, I'm going for the camaraderie. This is like Kenny's thing. He's obsessed with it. Could have gone to all kinds of different restaurants where you have menus and people just get to pick what they want to order. But we went to a tasting menu and I ate a lot of things. Some of them I really like. There's other things I'm not going to try. I don't know. So to like people who don't really know me, I disappointed. To people who do know me, I actually did go outside my comfort zone and try things that I never would have tried with them. So it's the eye of the beholder, I guess.
Well, what we've determined with all of this, whether it was the traveling, although Tim says he's very happy to get home, and I'm sure he's correct. I was very happy to get home by the end of it too. I think that everyone was after the week. But Tim's anxiety about going to the tasting menu, how he's terrified of all this stuff, it's all just in his head. When he gets there, he's absolutely fine.
Yeah, I agree. Tim isn't a picky eater
At all. He
that's
likes everything.
And I would argue what happened at the tasting menu of everyone at that table, like of Tim and I'd say Pat knows us each the best. Obviously, you know Tim much better than I, but I would argue to you, who knows both of us the best, it actually probably went exactly as you expected.
Yes.
There's certain things I tried and didn't like. There's certain things that I just wouldn't try. And then you give me the venison or tuna on a stick and I'll eat the whole fucking thing. Seafood ragu, beautiful. Beautiful.
The tuna on a stick, Tim, was excellent.
Yeah, so but like I'm not
delicious.
trying like gelatined cucumber or popcorn or corn mousse. No, I actually did try that. And I didn't like it. And that's fine.
And it's all
But,
if you follow Kendo VT on Twitter, he has all of the videos of the live tasting menu up there if you want to go see them. But when we walked out the door of the tasting menu, Tim, tell us what you told us.
I think that they should have tasting menus everywhere to the point where I'd love to see like there'd be fast food tasting menus.
Oh
What a great idea that would be.
Like just get all the kids menus. You get a hamburger, you get chicken nuggets, you get all of like what do you
No,
need?
like this needs to be developed perhaps in a different corner with more detail, but like
Well, maybe that's what you
I
do.
like the
Maybe on next week's.
Hold on a second
corner.
though, because I have done, Tim, I have actually done tasting menus that are far less fancy. They're more just fancier versions of like American like bar foods, and they would like cauliflower or like popcorn out chicken wings. So
yeah,
you
so this is not
literally
what I'm
eat-
thinking of. I'm thinking of like, oh, here's a section of a Whopper.
Fuck off.
No, I think you should do that. Come up with 5 separate fast food places, and you can design your tasting menu for each of them, Tim.
I think there we go. We have next week's corner.
And how
That-
much would it cost? $24.99?
Maybe.
I'd have to think about it.
Like here's a square of a Filet-O-Fish.
Yeah. And Tim, you can pick the sauces from the restaurants that go with it as the pairing.
And the sodas that pair with it.
There you go.
Oh my god.
Maybe do 3 of them because it sounds like it's going to take an awful lot of time.
Yeah.
The other thing is, Tim, how do people travel without lounges?
I'm telling you, you really should go to a lounge when you're traveling in airports. It makes it so much more enjoyable. When you have it's quieter, there's all kinds of food you can eat and drinks you can have. I strongly believe that if you're going to travel, you should try to access a lounge.
Can I make a comment about this?
Sure.
I and Pat might agree or disagree. Kind of think lounges have become almost too mainstream, like anyone could get into them.
I agree with you on the access.
Like I actually
to them.
want a lounge,
but it's not like I don't want to go there at the same time. Like we kicked up for like 2 hours before our flight. Nice like lean back leather chair. Like what else am I gonna do? Like walk around and sit at TGI Fridays? No thanks.
Oh, I agree, but I just mean like lounges actually used to be like better and even more exclusive, like the washrooms for the media. Tim.
Exactly. Okay.
The last thing I wanted to bring up, Tim, and this one's about Geoff.
Uh-oh. Whatever. Let's go.
We got some criticism about the people. You drove with me every day because you fell asleep in the car every single day. But there was some criticism from others about Geoff's driving and where he was going, wasn't there?
There was questions as to whether he was able to navigate using the signs. There was questions as to whether he was too dedicated to Waze rather than Google Maps. Despite his claim that every drive was a perfect drive, others seem a little less certain of its perfection. Now, I didn't drive with Geoff. The only time I saw Geoff driving is when he ran into a curb trying to perform a U-turn. That's my only frame of reference for Geoff's driving for the week. So I'm not a good judge.
Okay, and let's be fair. The first couple days in a foreign town with foreign language on the signs, not a clue where I'm going. By like the middle of it, Tim Butts came in the car, and at the end, it's like he gave you.
So he's your fact checker now too. He's not just my fact checker.
Yeah. So what did he say?
Checker.
What did he tell you? My score was for his day.
I believe he gave you a 9.
Take it. Done. Go ask Baxter. You'll get another one. So I apologize for the dudes. Like Kenny sat shotgun for 6 fucking rides to and from the course. That's called service.
He told you about the green sign. Follow the green one, Geoff.
Yeah, there's multiple green signs. He's yelling me the green sign. I just want to make sure I'm going to go under the proper green sign. And he like boycotts Waze. So he doesn't even know how to read where it says what the sign says I need to go under.
Geoff,
that's all.
Geoff made a point earlier about how I know you two better than anyone else on the trip, which is true. I guess Butts and I know you, Tim, just about as well as each other. Yeah. But when it comes to both of you, I'm really the only one on the trip who saw Geoff on a regular basis for multiple years in person. I actually hung out with him and know what he's like. Can you describe what it was like being up early with Geoff on the first date when he was trying to figure out directions?
There was a lot of anxieties about exits 50 versus exit 52. There was a lot of anxiety about which one to take, which one was better than the other.
One thing, and the official President's Cup media access is saying another. So you're in a different town, and I'll go when I'm out of town and I don't know where I'm going. I want to be able to rely on Waze, but it's like, fuck, they just sent out this notice, so you want to trust them. But I was also up really early on that first day. Cleared off all the was up early enough to like clear all the table counters and everything from it. So I don't know. Yeah, I was up early. And I had no fucking clue where I'm going. And Waze was saying different than the lady. And in 2024, it's like you rely on these technologies. You forget back in the day, like when we started driving, Pat, you would just go by like the MapQuest and you just print it the fuck out. Or bring it with you.
Or do what I used to do and write it down because we didn't have a printer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or you'd write it down and hope you got it right. So we come a long way. Almost too reliant on the ways, which also, would tell us to go ways that were shorter, but streets were blocked. So it caused some problems.
Yeah. We figured it out by the end. All right. So next week we'll do a tasting menu with Tim and maybe we can get some suggestions from the people as well. Like, are there places you want to see Tim cover? Are there special menu items that you would want for a fast food tasting menu?
Because they have to be places I can access. If it's somewhere in the States that we don't have, I'm not interested.
Oh, maybe people want to create their own for Zaxby's or something like that. Tim's not going to have access to that. But if you want to create your own and tell us about it, then maybe we can give a shout out to those ones as well. But over the past year, you have now said that every fast food restaurant should have a tasting menu and a buffet option.
I stand by both of those statements.
It's going to be tough for these places to make money.
No, they'll do fine. It'll increase customers.
For almost about 2 decades, the irons were really the only good part of my golf game, unless you include 300-yard drives, which meant hitting it about 150 yards straight and 150 yards with slice into the woods to the right. So I finally went and got lessons, straightened out my swing, and all of a sudden I could drive the ball pretty decently, pretty straight. And then my irons just kind of went wayward with the new compression that I was getting onto the ball. So it was time for me to make a change with my irons. So when I heard about the new PXG Black Ops irons and how they can dramatically improve my game, had to give them a try. Booked a fitting with the PXG location, brought in my current irons, and took the PXG challenge. The staff was amazing. We worked on my ball flight through TrackMan in order to find the perfect irons and the perfect length and the perfect loft for what my game demands these days. And the new Black Ops irons are incredibly easy to hit, they maximize performance, and they're fun. Oh, and they're only $149.99 a stick. That is a great price for a great golf iron. So take the PXG Irons Challenge. It's a ton of fun, and if PXG's new Black Ops irons don't outperform your current irons by delivering either more distance or tighter dispersion, that means better accuracy, during your fitting, you'll get a $250 MasterCards reward card. Hurry, this offer ends October 7th. Book your fitting today at pxg.com. That's pxg.com. Passion, drive, patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Supercharger, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want. It's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. Late set of games. Vegas at Denver. The unstoppable Denver Broncos, Tim, and their elite Chicago 85 Bears take a hike defense are favored by 3 points against the Raiders. And
I think the Broncos are playing really good defense. I like them here quite a bit, I have to say.
Yeah, give me Vegas. Vegas has a real offense, unlike the Jets. Maybe they can score.
I mean, yeah, it's true that Las Vegas can score. They do. They are able to get into the 20s in a way that Denver aren't. But I just think in Denver, I expect the Broncos to play a really tough game. I think Minshew's going to be very, very much confused in this game. I think they're going to – this is a bad Raiders game, not a good Raiders game. Will Adams play? Will Adams even be a Raider? I don't know. I like the Broncos here.
So there is someone just sent me a text.
I saw it.
Of Devontae Adams spotted at Newark Airport, Geoff.
Wow. Interesting. I don't really want to care to talk about either of these teams. I'll take the points, though. I'd rather ask Tim.
This is your Dolphins Patriots.
I'd rather ask Tim about how he plans to attack McDonald's monopoly, which we found out this weekend in Montreal as he saw all the signs, and even his McDonald's bags were giving the game boards, and Tim was very excited. So but then he claimed when I left that he wasn't going to play.
Today's opening day, and I haven't gone.
We haven't left your house yet.
And I don't intend to go. I don't intend to play.
Oh,
You're planning on not playing.
We need you to bring your cake for Sunday Night Live too, so we can eat your cake on the show.
I'm not going to do that. We're going to have MREs.
No. The MREs are gone. We need to do the cake. That's what we agreed on.
No, we didn't agree on that. I want MREs.
No.
You can have MRE for main course and dessert cake.
Yeah, we need to try some of this freezer cake that you've been boasting about.
No, because I'm going to throw it out soon and buy a new one.
Well, then bring the. Why wouldn't you bring it here
before you throw it out?
Yeah, instead of throwing it out, bring it here.
Why? Well, what just want to see? Let's eat a random cake on TV.
We're eating random things from random things on TV. That's what we're doing.
All right, I'll bring cake.
You bring the cake, the freezer cake, and that can be the thing for tonight. Then we can go back to the MREs.
Pat, there's no way you believe him when he says he's not going to rip Monopoly this month?
No, especially when I get Monopoly for Sunday and I'm the only one with stickers. Please. Maybe he'll quit the show and go race to McDonald's halfway through.
No.
Do you think you can do it? How much would you like to wager on that, Tim, that you don't get
I don't know. But I really am not going to play.
Okay, the money you're going to save at McDonald's this month, I think you should donate to Stefan.
I'm just not going to play.
That's a lot. That's like 2 days to Stefan.
No, I'm not doing any days. I'm just not going to play.
Okay.
Better for my health not to play.
I would agree with you on that. I support your decision not to play McDonald's Monopoly, but It's like your favorite thing ever. And as Paul pointed out, it's like the meme of the guy digging towards the diamonds underneath the ground, and he's going to quit when he's just that far away from winning big.
That would be such a great thumbnail.
What are you going to do with your McDonald's budget?
Spend it elsewhere, I suppose.
Buy a house with it, yeah.
I don't know.
But
Yeah, exactly.
He's probably going to try to he's going to save for 20 years on his budget and then buy a Dodge Viper when he could have just won one right now.
Yeah, Chevy Equinox.
And you could sell that for even more bucks and keep your Corolla.
I don't have a Corolla. I have a Camry. Why do I have a Corolla? You know I don't have that car.
I think you should lend Stefan your Corolla.
I don't have a Corolla. Stop calling it that.
Oh, sorry. You lend Stefan your Camry and then you buy a new Corolla.
Or
I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. No. Let's just move on. I don't want to talk. Let's just move on.
Denver has the 5th ranked defense in football and the 4th ranked special teams, Geoff.
Yeah, and apparently Tim triggered Bo Nix to start moving the ball forward on Sunday.
Well, Tim claimed that he could complete 2 of 10 passes as an NFL quarterback, which is just not true.
That's
true.
Bullshit.
I could complete the passes where the receiver runs in front of you and you just drop it and then they grab it.
No, you couldn't. I don't know if you can catch the snap from the center.
And I could do shovel passes as well.
I don't think that you could. See, this is something that we can auction off. I just don't know if your timing is going to be there.
I don't think you could.
Out of shotgun with a running back to the right of me, I could easily complete a pass. All I have to do is make sure that the ball is moving forwards when he gets the ball from my hands.
Do you know what would happen to the running back when you give him a suicide pass?
That is a separate question as to whether it's a completed pass.
Well, I mean, you said you go 2 of 10, so you have to complete them.
I only need to do it twice.
He has to hold on to it too.
And no,
You just have to
that's
secure
not
the
even the
catch.
hard part. The hard part is the transition between the center snapping him the ball, him catching it, and throwing it forward. I just don't think he's got it in him.
I do.
I threw you that piece of paper towel. You couldn't even catch that.
I didn't know it was coming.
Well, sometimes they snap it on the wrong cadence, Tim.
Well, they're not supposed to. They're supposed to snap it on the snap count.
Well, what happens if they don't? Is it a 40-yard loss?
I don't even think you could coordinate like the forward push pass.
That's what I'm saying.
I think I could.
No, that they practice. Like that's a well executed time thing. I think you would you'd leave it behind him or something.
I guess we would see. But I need to get it right 20% of the time.
Seems high. And as he was going on about that to you guys during Sunday Night Football, Derrick Henry ran through like 8 guys for a 70-yard touchdown. Geoff just goes, and you think you can tackle that guy?
And I said yes. 1 out of 100 times.
I think you'd be dead before the 100. I think you'd be dead after the 1.
No.
Yeah, really, you have that sort of resilience. Derrick Henry runs you over.
I like to think so. I play tackle football for a year. I know how to take a hit.
Arizona at San Francisco. The Niners are favored by 7.5. They've got back to 2-2 now. And the Cardinals, I don't know. Are the Cardinals reeling, Geoff? Or is it that just they weren't very good to begin with and they beat up on an absolutely decimated Rams team?
Yeah, it seems like they caught the Rams in the perfect game. Right? That was right after the Rams 49ers upset.
No, that was the week after. The Rams beat the Niners after the week after. That was the week that the Niners lost to Minnesota in week 2, I believe.
It does seem like a lot of points in division, and there are a lot of injuries on the 49ers, but I'm still going to lay it. Still going to lay the points.
They seem to be getting all their guys back at this moment. Yeah, they lost to the Bills after the hot start. They beat the Rams, and they lost to the Lions at home. They lost to the Commanders at home. So they played some pretty good offenses, and I would qualify even without McCaffrey at this point. It seems like everyone else has returned for the 49ers. And I don't know, Tim, is McCaffrey the least important part of this offense to make them like still good? Like obviously they're better with McCaffrey, but is this just a running, like do running backs truly not matter?
They matter when the replacement level running back can't perform. But like Mason has proven himself to be an above average running back, or at least to have the skill set of an above average running back. So when you lose McCaffrey to him, like the downgrade, which is real, doesn't hit as hard. I'm going to tease the Niners down, and I'm going to take the Niners against the spread.
On the offense, you're probably right, Pat. Like the fantasy bros, they're all getting their guys back, but their defense just takes a knock every game. Greenlaw, Hufanga, Hargrave. There's, I bet you, Warner seemed to have gotten banged up last week. I'm sure he'll be on the injury report. So their defense is their offense getting healthy. Their defense is actually quite hurt right now. Kyler Murray, some flag football for the backdoor cover is essentially would be the game plan if I'm taking these points.
My concern is in the four square of the NFC West of who always beats who. I think Arizona usually plays San Francisco hard.
Yeah, my biggest problem is Arizona's defense. Like, even if you say that the Niners' defense is banged up, it's still probably better than what the Cardinals are running out there right now.
I agree.
Cardinals have the 14th ranked offense, the 29th ranked defense, and the 19th ranked special teams. And even with the injuries to offense and defense, San Francisco's the 7th offense and the 4th defense. Like, they just outclass them everywhere. It's an issue. But I like what Geoff's kind of selling me here on this Kyler backdoor, because it does, especially if the Niners defense is beat up a little bit and Kyler just plays, like, starts scrambling around into the fourth quarter. Like, they just might score like 14 unimpressive, irrelevant points to the game, yet cover the 7.5.
Doesn't seem like a good reason to take them, though. Doesn't seem like a good reason to take them.
Like the Patriots almost
maybe
covered the 7.5.
Maybe they'll backdoor. Blah. Like saying, maybe he might catch the backdoor. That's not a good reason to take them. Might be a reason not to put money on San Francisco, but I don't think it's a reason to take Arizona against the spread.
If they can stop the run late, I guess would be the thing. And the other thing to look at too is San Francisco has the league worst special teams. That if they can sneak a score out there, then maybe all of a sudden they're looking a little bit better. And I do think that if they can build a lead in this game, San Francisco that is, that they're going to run the ball down their throats with Mason. It's going to be effective, but it's going to kill the amount of high scoring plays that they have. They might have extended drives, and then you do give the big play opportunity for Arizona to get back in the game, or it's just competitive because, like you said, Arizona gives them problems from time to time, and Kyler Murray does as well. So I'll take Arizona plus 7.5, but you're teasing them down to a point or a half point?
Half point, yes, indeed.
Green Bay at the Rams. The Rams are 3.5 point dogs at home coming off their loss at Chicago. Jordan Love looked infinitely healthier in the second half than he did in the first half, when he just seemed like he was completely out of game shape in terms of the timing and the speed of the game. 3.5 seems about the right number, though. I'm kind of torn on this, Geoff. Where do you think people will lean? Like, where are you leaning, but where do you think the public leans on this?
I lean the public definitely fading the Rams. 100%. Packers finish with some life, like you said. Love getting some mojo back. I could be wrong, but I think the there's just an objective to probably fade this injured Rams team at the moment, and I would probably agree with that sentiment. So I'm on the Packers.
I would agree too. I'm going to take the 3.5 on the road for the Packers, minus 3.5. Tim, would it shock you to learn that the Rams defense is bottom 5 in the league so far through 4 weeks?
I mean, I didn't think of them in terms of having that bad of a defense, but I can't say I'm shocked. And they did lose one of the 3 or 4 best defensive players in the NFL before the season started. And their offense has been hurt. Their offensive players being hurt means that they're not having as many sustained offensive drives, meaning they're playing more football. I can't say I'm shocked to hear it. But I will take the home dogs here.
Yeah, I mean, Stafford always has it in him to fight through this and just make it a game.
Yeah, and this you sort of heard from an earlier peroration today. Like I'm not in love with Green Bay either. So with the half point, that's enough. That's enough intrigue for me to go ahead and take the Rams.
Through 4 weeks, the worst defenses, starting with the worst, the Jags, the Rams, Washington, Arizona, New England, Dallas are the 6 worst defenses.
The only one that shocks me there, and I shouldn't say shocks, the one that surprises me is the Patriots being that awful.
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, they were the only team that the Jets really lit up.
No, but it's just like, they coming into the season, I really thought they'd have a top 10 defense and then like the bottom 30 offense. But the defense not playing very well so far is a bit surprising to me.
Yeah, it's funny because Christian Gonzalez is playing so well and shutting down these elite wide receivers, but they're just like, yeah, we'll just do whatever else.
Yeah.
Like, I imagine there was probably a Jet season where it was like that with Revis at one point where, yeah, Revis is shutting everyone else down, but no one else is doing anything.
Correct.
Giants at Seattle. 6 points right now. 43.5 is the total, so it's in Seattle. I think I'm going to take the Giants, Geoff. The Seahawks have not been good as favorites so far this year. They pushed week 1 against Denver. They didn't cover, depending on when you got any of these numbers, they either pushed the number or lost outright to the number against Denver and Seattle and New England. They lost as dogs against the spread in Detroit. And what was the other game that they played?
Miami.
Miami.
At home.
And they beat Miami at home as
They
big favorites.
They thrashed Miami, yeah.
And it seems like the Giants have more life than Miami does right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's still hard in some ways. Who was it that Tim said, like, what are they? And he
Green
said
Bay.
the Packers were probably like the favorite. I could argue based on the schedule. It's like, what are the Seahawks? Because I tell you, you watched last night and they look like a pretty fun team. And, you know, they got up and down the field quite easily. And, you know, they made all the fantasy guys happy and having to pick this game this morning. In some ways, you want to lean to them, thinking they could do it at home. The Giants have that pass rush, and they'll get their sacks, just like the Lions got their sacks. But it didn't really seem to stop Geno when it was 2nd and 16.
Geno played great in that game.
Yeah, he still found guys, and they moved the sticks all night on the road. I'm going to take Seattle. I don't love it. Yeah, I'm really uneasy about it. It could end up being a really sneaky game that I totally misread. That wouldn't shock me at all.
Well, to look at it, Tim, you have I don't know if Neighbors is going to play or not coming off the concussion, but it was last Thursday, so he does have the extended time to get better. So they have the extra long week. Seattle has the short week. There is always something to that. And as Geoff said, like the pressure that the Giants bring, I mean, they don't bring it every time, but they have one of the highest pressure percentages right now through 4 weeks, which I actually thought was somewhat surprising. Like they should.
I believe that.
They should have beat Dallas too.
But I do think Seattle's going to score 24 points in this game, and I don't think that the Giants, as constituted, are going to score 18 or more. So I'm going to take Seattle. So I think your point is well taken, and it wouldn't shock me if this game finished but this game could finish 17-10. And I still get you still get the cover with Seattle.
Seattle, San Fran play next Thursday.
Yeah, I think there's more of a risk of that being a look ahead for San Francisco than Seattle, who I think has got to take care of business here, coming off a loss on a short week.
Sunday Night Football. Dallas at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's a 2.5-point favorite at home. Russell Wilson is going to practice more this week, but Justin Fields is going to remain the starter for Pittsburgh, which does seem like the much better call at this point, considering they're 3-1 and almost came back to beat the Colts on Sunday. They did sustain an offensive line injury, which is never good when Justin Fields is your quarterback, and we saw that. It really did wildly affect the run game against Indianapolis. But as I mentioned before, the Indianapolis defense better than I thought. And Dallas right now throwing out a bottom 6 defense in football. DeMarcus Lawrence probably out 8 to 12 weeks. No idea if Micah Parsons is going to play. I think that there's a case you could make, based on what we've seen so far this year, Tim, that Pittsburgh should be favored by 3.5 or 4.
You think? I mean, I guess. I think those defensive injuries matter less in a game like this against a team that's offensively challenged than a team that might be able to take advantage of those missed players. I like Dallas here, and I like teasing Dallas up because I don't think the Steelers are going to blow just about anybody out. I am banking on Fields playing similarly to how we played last week, which means he's going to have 1 or 2 mistakes. I'm not in love with Pittsburgh per se, or in love with Dallas per se, because we saw on Thursday night that they made a myriad of mistakes. But Dak is still a good quarterback. I think I know they still have some offensive weapons. I expect them to be able to score in a way that Indianapolis was able to score. Since Pittsburgh defense isn't the 85 Bears, we do know that now. I sound tortured here because I don't love picking against the Steelers team. I've been picking them every week so far this year, I think, just about. But just feel like this is a good spot for Dallas, and I feel like that the people are at their low ebb with the Cowboys, and those injuries don't help. And it seems like a good time to pick Dallas.
If Dallas wins this game, Geoff, if it's going to have to follow a similar blueprint that the Colts were able to do, that they were able to run, and just like they were hitting Michael Pittman down the field, and obviously CeeDee Lamb much better, and Dak Prescott much better offensively than those guys. But you got to get him into space and make him just beat everyone behind the defense. But Indianapolis was also still able to have these underneath routes with Josh Downs and run the ball effectively. Even when Trey Sermon came into the game, they were still able to run on Pittsburgh. But that was also indoors as well. And I do think that a lot like the Cleveland defense last year, although we've seen the Pittsburgh defense be good indoors, like week 1 against Atlanta, that it's going to be more fearsome outside and not on the fast track. And I think that limits what Dallas can do for the big plays.
I could see how that would make sense. At the moment, I am leaning Pittsburgh, and I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they already declared Parsons out.
Did they declare Parsons out?
But that might have been like a bot account or one of those aggregators that could have been lying.
Let's see. NFL.com's Ian Rappaport reports, Tim, that Devontae Adams has informed the Raiders he, quote, prefers to be traded.
I mean, I would prefer he play in Gotham City. So, I mean, let's hope we can make that happen.
I mean, if you had to weigh the favorites, I don't know the cap situations of all these teams, but the Chiefs have to be looking pretty tasty for Devontae Adams.
Well, they're not going to trade him.
Yeah,
to
but
the
they'll
Chiefs.
never make that trade. The Raiders will never make that trade.
Whoever
will
gives
never
them
make
the
that
vote.
If
trade.
the Raiders could, the Raiders could demand something crazy, and the Chiefs could feel like we're in our window. The Chiefs should maybe try to get Tyreek Hill back if the Dolphins.
Al Davis's son is never, ever, ever, ever greenlighting a trade of Tyreek.
Al Davis'
Devontae
son
Adams.
probably cares
Devontae
a lot less
Adams
about
to,
doing that than Al Davis.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see it. I don't see it. The amount of the asking price would be so ridiculous. The Chiefs wouldn't pay it.
It's okay, Pat. We were with Kenny and Tim. We're both telling us their fan blogs. We're telling them they're getting Devontae Adams.
That's true. Yeah.
Okay. So everyone, I guess, who needs a receiver thinks they're getting Devontae Adams. The Chiefs certainly will be in that market. I mean, maybe.
I saw somebody recommend that they trade back from the Dolphins for Tyreek Hill.
That's what I just said a minute ago.
Well,
great trade for both
Tyreek
teams.
Hill, he's dealing with. Remember, he had the thumb injury in week 1. Then he played and everything was fine. Apparently, that's a real problem for him now. That he might end up going on. I could see him if they lose again this week, that he ends up on injured reserve or gets surgery or something.
I could see it.
Well, T. Higgins could maybe end up on the Chiefs.
That I think is more likely.
Right,
But
he's got
Cincinnati
no contract.
Cincinnati would have to be out of it first, though.
Yeah,
They have Yoshivas.
The deadline is far away,
I think
and the Chiefs are 4-0, so they can slow roll this sucker, right?
When's the trade deadline?
It's later.
I thought
they
it was
pushed it back a year or two ago. I feel.
When is the 2024 trade deadline? All you need to know. Just give me the fucking date. That's all I really care about. Monday, November 4th. Was that week 8?
Oh yeah, we got another month from now.
Okay. So yeah, maybe Cincinnati will be out of it, and then you can trade T. Higgins. It seems very unlikely. Maybe for the Jets, at least, Tim. I just don't see why you go out and get. You've already said that the receiving core is the best in football. Why do they need?
Yeah,
Devontae
because Aaron may want him, and if he does, well, then what are you going to do?
Do they
Like
have
who's
any-
already dead fish? Is there a receiver on the Jags that could be worth something in a trade?
No,
Kirk? Maybe.
probably not.
But I don't think that they need a Kirk type. I feel like they need an alpha outside guy. And Hollywood Brown might be back by December, mid-December. But coming off an injury, you have no idea how good he's going to be. And it does look like Rashee Rice didn't tear his ACL, but he might still be out 8 weeks or something.
Yeah.
So maybe they don't need him.
Tim's such a gentleman. Tim's such a gentleman. He doesn't even like taking credit for his good jokes.
I know. He leaves that to you. He's like, you're a professional joke writer. So you taking Pittsburgh or Dallas?
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, so Tim is the only one on Dallas of the 4 of us because the coin is going with Pittsburgh as well. Like I said, I don't see this Parsons is officially out. I haven't seen that. I just Googled it. Didn't say anything, but it's probably.
I think this game's going to go over.
I could see. Dallas's offense doesn't look very good, man. We gave we gave them the benefit, and they did look pretty good in week 1, but they're like, oh my God, they did that against Cleveland's defense. Cleveland's defense has not been very good. And they scored, what, like 20 against the Giants? Great. Like their best.
They did score a bunch against the Ravens as they were trying to make a comeback.
True, but that felt like a lot of, let's prevent defense. When they had to score points when it mattered, they couldn't score points.
No, that's fair.
Like their best offensive player is their fucking kicker.
That guy doesn't miss, except when he does.
Except for when he does and blows the spread for everyone. How mad was our buddy? Actually, no, he
Quite
ended up
upset.
pushing because of it.
No, somebody lost their lineups or something because of it.
Yeah. No, it was Tambo. Tambo was going to win like $3,000 if he had made the kick, and he didn't.
Yeah, something like that.
Yikes. Monday Night Football. Sunday night. Wait, do I have that wrong?
Yeah,
Monday Night Football. I had last week's game still written down for some reason. Seattle and Detroit. New Orleans at Kansas City. We just talked about Kansas City a little bit. They're 5-point favorites at home against the Saints. 42.5 is the total. It's a really low total, isn't it? And is this Saints offense, Geoff, was it just smoke and mirrors the first 2 weeks and everyone caught on to what they were up to and now it's just back to what it should be?
I mean, yes and no. They still look far more productive and competent than in years past. I mean, they did things those first couple weeks against Carolina and Dallas that, they're not going to live up to that. But I think they're still improved and they've benefited from a lot of the schematic changes that they've made. I think this game is going to follow the trend of pretty much a lot of Chiefs games. I think it's just going to be a closer primetime game than people want. Or than Chiefs fans might want, but their experience and talent will prevail in the end. They have a margin for error because they're so good. I do think the Saints find a way to cover.
I think
they get got. I love New Orleans this week. Love them. I think New Orleans may win the game on the field.
Super lock?
It's
you haven't said
close.
Love yet. You haven't said I love.
Yeah, I mean, I do really, really love the Saints in this game. Feel like the Chiefs can only play like that so many times before eventually they lose. And historically, they have lost a few of these games in the regular season when they play like that. Either they're going to crush the Saints 42-10, or I believe they're going to lose. I don't think they're going to keep high-wiring wins. Sooner or later, they are going to catch a loss playing the way that they are. I think this is the week. I'm going to go with New Orleans.
I have the dumbest comment that would probably make like a Pizzola type smart person's like skin crawl. The Chiefs are 4-0. The division truly remains lifeless. This is a cross-conference primetime game. Like, thank God they're at home. They're about to go on a bye. This is like the most successful graduating class of all time that's getting Christmas break. That's like getting a week off school next week. I wouldn't be shocked if the Saints got him, and I don't think it would fucking matter to the Chiefs.
Agreed.
Like, I don't think it fucking matter. They're playing a team from the NFC South. I don't think it fucking matter.
Thank you. This only bolsters my feeling.
I agree with both of you, but I'm still going to take Kansas City -5 because they've done this in every game so far and covered 3 of them.
Yeah, you can't argue with somebody taking the Chiefs ever.
The Saints have no margin for error. It's like it's like Team America, like of golf. Like they're just gonna figure it out. Like it might be closer, and in the end, the score isn't nearly as indicative of maybe how competitive the game was. I do think we'll get a competitive game, though. Final score might not say so, but I don't know if I'm fully on Tim on upset watch. But I think I don't know. Great teams sometimes, like the week before a bye with a great head coach, usually locked in. One more before we get a little time off. But I don't think it matters. 4-1, 5-0, same fucking thing.
I don't think it matters to them either. But after watching the Saints the past 2 weeks, like obviously their defense is really good. I don't know if that matters against Patrick Mahomes because he'll grind out 20 points, let's say. But the Saints offense, they have no juice. If they're not completing big passes downfield, every play is 2 yards. It's run behind the line of scrimmage, or it's a dump off to Alvin Kamara. It's a bubble screen to Shaheed. Occasionally, they'll hit something in like the mid 10 to 20 yard range to Olave, or at least try that. But they just run so much stuff at the line of scrimmage to set up these deep plays. That if they don't hit the deep plays, like they're completely ineffective. And I worry about that coming down the stretch because the Chiefs' D has been pretty good. Obviously, their offense has been like middle of the pack and actively getting worse with everyone that they lose. But it just comes down to Mahomes. I think if I was going to bet on the Saints, I'd bet them to win, and I wouldn't take the +5.
Well, like I said, I like them. I do like them to win.
So that would be 2-1 plus 200 on the money line. I'd rather take that than the +5.
Just looking at next week for a sec. Obviously, teams, I think when they go to London, they get their choice. The Vikings are taking their bye. The Jets are not, and they're playing Monday night versus Buffalo after their England game.
Yep, at home, but yeah, that's right.
Interesting.
All right, well, let's get to. Do you want to recap your free money teaser, Tim?
Yeah, it's a 4-team, 7-point tease. We're going to tease up Carolina, down San Francisco, up Dallas, and up Indianapolis.
What does that pay on a 7-pointer? 2-1?
2-1.
All right.
It's a lot of games for 2-1, I tell you, in this modern NFL.
I get it, but I sure would like to try to hit a single here. It's the opening of baseball playoff season. So
you got any baseball playoff projections?
I really like the Mets and the Tigers to get out of the first round. Mets and Tigers. Who's
going to win the World Series?
I like Mets over Yankees in the World Series. Subway Series. Mets over Yankees.
You've done this to the Mets fans enough, man.
Well, I'm sticking to my guns.
Who are you guys taking in Survivor? I no longer get a chance to pick.
And I just used San Francisco.
I thought you just used Kansas City.
Yeah, you used Kansas City.
Yeah, you can use
the Niners for the one. No, but I used them the week that I lost, so I thought I wasn't able to use them.
No, you can use them because they lost when you use them.
Almost tempted to take the Patriots. Yeah, I'm taking the Patriots.
Really?
Taking the Patriots. Never going to get a chance to use them again. Taking the Patriots.
The 1-point favorite New England Patriots are Tim's Survivor pick. How about yours, Geoff?
I guess give me. If I used a team, I can't use a team that I used week 1, right?
No, you can because they lost.
No, I won though.
Then no, you can't use them. If a team has won for you, you cannot use them.
Oh no, I didn't in week 1. I'll take Seattle. I got lost on the Bengals. I'll take Seattle this week.
Yeah, because you use the Bengals again. No, you didn't. That's not right. You used the Jets in week 2. So it's Seattle for you.
Yeah, I used the Jets in week 3, but yeah.
Who'd you use in week 2? Do you remember?
I was out. I didn't participate.
That's right. Then we did the second chance again after I lost. So yeah, Seattle for Geoff, New England for Tim. Super locks. Tim, you're 1-3. You're in last. It's your pick to go first then.
I felt strongest about the Saints of any team on the board, so I guess I have to take the Saints.
Saints +5 for Tim. Geoff, you're 1-2 to get back to 500. Who are you locking in?
Josh Allen off a loss.
I like that a lot.
Buffalo -1. Now to me. There's like 4 games that I like. There's not one that I love. I actually really like Tampa on Thursday night, but maybe I won't go that route. You know what? I'll take Minnesota not getting a field goal -2.5 in London against the Jets. Because if they're as good as they actually look, they're wildly undervalued in this game. And Sam Darnold revenge. Can't beat that, Geoff.
Hey, the Sam Darnold tour, it's, pinch us, Darnold truthers.
I would be more worried, Tim, if the Jets defense looked better, but it looks good, but not great.
I mean, they only gave up 10 points last week. Okay. But in the last 2 weeks, they gave up 3 points to the Patriots and 10 points to the Broncos. It's not like they played really bad against San Francisco. Like the Titans scored 17.
They played one good offense. They played one good offense this year and got lit up.
They played one bad game against one really good offense. They haven't been scored the last 3 weeks, 17, 3, and 10. So the run defense has some holes, but they're not giving up a lot of points.
Rap Sheet just tweeted that the Bills or Von Miller has been suspended for 4 games for violating NFL's personal conduct policy.
There's that suspension, Paul, that you were looking for last year.
Yeah, but he's actually kind of playing good now.
Yeah, he has been playing decent last few games.
Maybe not last game, but like the first 3 games of the year. I wonder what he did now. If he didn't get it, he didn't get.
That sounds like drugs, right?
He didn't get suspended the other time.
That would make sense
So-
of why he's playing better this year, though. If he got busted for PEDs.
That would all kind of add up. Does
NFL conduct policy, is that like
Does that mean he doesn't count against the cap and we can get Devontae Adams? Because we could use Devontae Adams.
That is true. The Bills could use Devontae Adams.
And Tyreek Hill's not coming to Buffalo. Miami would never make that trade.
He's
Tyreek Hill just got an extension. I don't know if he can actually be traded. I mean, like, if that's actually a thing.
Well, yeah, I took Minnesota minus 2.5. Back to the Jets for a second. They've played 3 of the bottom 6 offenses in football so far.
Okay, but
Now,
they played well against them.
Maybe they're a product of that. I will completely grant that, but it's not like those teams have lit up other teams either. They've been just
Well, this will be a good test. This team and then Buffalo next week are 2 very good tests to see where the Jets are defensively, whether they have fixed some of the problems from that San Francisco game.
Yeah.
I agree. I think there's something to be learned here.
Yeah, and Minnesota hasn't been the greatest offense or slightly above average, but they do have the number 1 defense, which worries me about the Jets offense, who haven't really done all that much.
Yeah, I'm not super confident about this game. I've got my anxieties.
All right. Well, that will do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. We had to get you out in time for whatever it is you have to do tonight. Tim Undercust!
Tim and August.
Decorate
That's-
Halloween.
That's not my name.
Yeah, you do have
I
to
did that
decorate for
yesterday
Halloween.
I did that. Yes, I did that yesterday when I came home, Jeff.
Oh, so you decorate Halloween and like I'm happy. I thought today, October 1st, when I walk my dog tonight, I still want to see no Halloween decorations. None. It's not a season. Okay? It is not a season. Like it gets nothing before the 10th of October.
Not an arbitrary date at all.
You know what we need to do? We talked about this over the last week, Jeff. Can we get Tim to be cracker of the day is what we need to do.
Oh, yes, we could get Tim to be cracker of the day. That would be the best.
That is the goal for the season. Make Cust the cracker of the day from Antonio Brown or whoever's running Antonio Brown's account.
Antonio Brown, someone tweeted something today like, you fools thought I sold my account. It's me. I think it was a fresh cracker of the day.
I mean, maybe Tim is eligible to be a part of CT ESPN. Who knows? He could be a
Well, the
contributor.
great thing about working at Mayo Media is that you're allowed to admit you enjoy Antonio Brown's Twitter account, where I feel a lot of people just enjoy it, but they're not allowed to admit they enjoy it.
I could see why at a more serious organization that you don't want to be associated with that at all. I feel like that's an upgrade for us. Like if Mayo Media Network team could be on the level of CT ESPN, we'd really be rolling it.
Whoever those joke writers would like, I believe he's part of the account, and I believe sometimes you can tell when it's actually him, but props to him or his agent for hiring like the whatever joke writers he's hired are freaking hilarious.
And it's weird in this, like in today's social media age, where if you said most of the things that come out of that account, like you would be blackballed or anything, but he has nothing to lose. He's already blackballed by everyone, so he can just fire away.
He's kind of like sports' Charlie Sheen.
That's a great call. Maybe he should. Is Charlie Sheen still alive?
I think so.
I haven't heard much from Charlie in a while. Maybe that's the team up we need. Get Carlos Estevez on the line. Team him up with Antonio Brown. And you know what? If Zinn was allowed to advertise, they could do a Zinning type commercial during the Super Bowl and it would explode the internet. Because Charlie could be cracker of the day. But anyway, make Cust the cracker of the day again is the message from the show. And Stefan, reach out to Geoff. We want to know how you're doing, all right? That will do it for us. I'm going to release this show without the newsletter coming out already because I am so very, very tired from this trip. I still need to go to bed. I'm going to edit the show. I'm going to put it out on a Tuesday night. Most weeks you can get the link in the newsletter, and that will be the advanced copy. This week is just going to be released on all your feeds, all right? I want to thank Geoff, Jared, Paul, and Tim, and the coin, and me, most of all. I'm Pat Mayo. I'll see you next time.
Mayo Experience! Experience!